Chapter 675. That bastard, he actually chased us all the way here. Is he trying to kill us all? Constellation Divine King looked at Xing Hui, who appeared outside the Divine Ghost Sect's protective array, his face filled with rage. At the same time, his gaze turned towards Ruthless Divine King, who had just suppressed the heat in his body. Can you fight? Let's activate all the power of the Wheel of Life and Death and teach him an unforgettable lesson. The Ruthless Divine King's expression was rather ugly. He looked at the young figure outside the formation as a sliver of fear appeared in the depths of his eyes. Constellation Divine King, Heaven's Azure Ruins is definitely not a weakling. With the battle prowess of a supreme expert and the assistance of the true God of suffering and the one true God, he already possesses the power to directly break through our Divine Ghost Sect's protective formation. We better think of a way to ask for help from the Divine Wilderness, or our Divine Ghost Sect will probably face destruction today. Divine Wilderness. Constellation Divine King was somewhat repulsed. Although the Divine Ghost Sect had a close relationship with the Divine Wilderness, and it was unclear, they had not completely submitted to the Divine Wilderness. It could only be said that they were very close to the Divine Wilderness. Back then, the Divine Wilderness had given the Divine Ghost Sect an innate charm because it wanted to rope them in and have them completely join the big family of the Divine Wilderness. However, last time, the Divine Ghost Sect had received benefits, but their request for the Divine Wilderness was still ambiguous. This time, if they were to ask for help from the Divine Wilderness, the Divine Ghost Sect would have to truly join the Divine Wilderness. Damn it! Since things have come to this, we can only ask for help from the Divine Wilderness. Constellation Divine King hesitated and struggled for a while before finally giving the order. Then he turned to Wang Qiqing and said, "Go, contact the people from Divine Wasteland and ask them to send a saint to help us. If Divine Wasteland helps us this time, my Divine Ghost Sect will agree to their request last time." "Yes, Divine King." Wang Qiqing respectfully replied and quickly went to contact them. At this moment, Xing Hui, who had been observing the Wheel of Life and Death for a while, made his move without hesitation. The scorching sun hung in the sky. The Scarlet Abyss sword exploded with a dazzling light of the sun. Then, with a thunderous might, it slammed down on a relatively weak point of the Wheel of Life and Death. "Not good. Quick, the two of us will preside over the formation and use it to exhaust his strength. Once his strength is almost exhausted, we'll borrow the power of the formation to fight him." Constellation God King bellowed and immediately rushed into the array formation. His domain power instantly connected with the array formation's weak point. Almost at the instant he channeled the power of his domain into the formation, Xing Hui's thunderous sword slashed down. For a moment, it was as if the sun had fallen. Endless light and heat exploded on the surface of the cycle of life and death formation, forming an extremely terrifying shock wave. The shock wave compressed the atmosphere, causing a large amount of electromagnetic energy to be released from the friction between the atmosphere, causing the weather within a radius of several dozen kilometers to change drastically. Outside the gates of gods and devils, which had been clear for thousands of kilometers, lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and strong winds howled. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. But it was only outside the gates of gods and devils. As a 12th level formation, the cycle of life and death formation was presided over by Constellation God King, a saint expert. The power of Xing Hui's sunburst sword was almost completely blocked outside the gates of gods and devils. Although it wreaked havoc outside, it created an apocalyptic scene. But inside the cycle of life and death formation, other than a few violent rumbles, it did not cause any substantial damage to the interior. As expected, I guessed correctly. The mysterious expert who infiltrated our gates of gods and devils and captured Wang Qiqing was this Xing Hui. Constellation God King looked at the surging power of the formation, his eyes so furious that it seemed like they could spit fire. Celestial Dome is truly incredible. First, there was Zhu Zhao, and now there's a supreme expert like Xing Hui. If you were given time to develop, your future accomplishments would be limitless. But unfortunately, you probably won't have the chance to survive this calamity. As long as our gates of gods and devils can hold out, Once Tao Sovereign Primal Chaos cleans up the upper echelons of your alliance, the Rainbow Sword Sect, and the Sword Shadow Sect, only destruction awaits your celestial dome. As Constellation God King spoke, he controlled the formation to block Tsing Hui's attack. But soon, his expression changed slightly. Tsing Hui, who had not been able to do anything to the Wheel of Life and Death formation, used his aura divination technique, his gaze constantly wandering around the formation. Even though he was not proficient in the art of formations, he could rely on the aura divination technique to clearly see the characteristics of the energy flow of the formation. He was able to immediately sense the points of intersection formed by the formation's operation. Every time the energy converged, he was able to land his attacks on these points of intersection. Under such attacks, in just a few moments, the Wheel of Life and Death formation's operation had clearly become rusty. Even though Constellation God King was constantly trying to fix the formation's shortcomings, he was still unable to do so. It's about time. Break for me. Tsing Hui slashed out more than 40 sunburst swords in a single breath. After suppressing the Wheel of Life and Death formation's operation speed to the limit, he brazenly activated Chasing Light. In the next moment, the scarlet sword in his hand seemed to transform into a dazzling sword shadow. Intense light carried with it surging heat waves as it bombarded the Wheel of Life and Death formation like a storm. Not good. Constellation God King sensed the abnormality in the formation and his expression changed. He immediately appeared at the spot where Tsing Hui had attacked. The power of his domain surged out and immediately connected with the formation. Unfortunately, the power of the Wheel of Life and Death formation was now much weaker than when it was at its peak. Tsing Hui's first sunburst sword had already caused the Wheel of Life and Death formation to constantly tremble. When his second and third sunburst sword descended, the blazing flames and surging light tore through the barrier of the Wheel of Life and Death formation for the first time, illuminating the interior of the formation. Accompanied by a wave of shrill cries, the 100+ True Energy Realm, Transformative Realm, Endless Realm, and even the 3 Golden Core Realm experts who just happened to be in charge of the formation were directly incinerated into ashes by the penetrating flame energy, dying on the spot. My domain has actually been penetrated? Quick, gather all the power of the formation. Constellation God King roared. All the Saint Boundary experts in the formation immediately poured their true energy into the formation. Unfortunately, under Tsing Hui's attacks, the Wheel of Life and Death formation had already become extremely rusty. The efficiency of the energy circulation had decreased by a large margin. Before this energy could be poured into the torn formation, Tsing Hui's 4th and 5th sunburst sword had already arrived. The blazing sword light tore apart the Constellation God King's domain like it was rotten wood. The remaining sword light split into tens of thousands of tiny strands of sword chi. Like a frenzied metal storm, they howled as they shot toward the True Energy Boundary, Transformative Boundary, Endless Boundary, Golden Core Boundary experts, and even the mighty experts within a 30-kilometer radius. The sound of bodies being penetrated and the screams that rang out within a 30-kilometer radius rose and fell. They constantly filled the gap in the formation. Under the sword chi, over 1,000 Saint Boundary cultivators were killed by the sword chi. Some of the weaker ones were even incinerated into ashes by the blazing power contained in the sword chi. They did not even have the chance to be revived. The 3 mighty experts who happened to be in the area all used their divine abilities to clash with Tsing Hui's sword chi. One of them was penetrated by the sword chi, and he screamed as he retreated from the battlefield. Most importantly, as the Divine Ghost Sect cultivators in the Wheel of Life and Death formation were all killed by Tsing Hui's sword chi, a gap seemed to have been torn open in the light screen that enveloped the Divine Ghost Sect. It was immediately exposed. Suffering True God, One True God, the 2 of you control the operation of the formation. Don't let the power of the Wheel of Life and Death formation repair this gap. At the same time, use all your strength to restrain the power of the Wheel of Life and Death formation. Tsing Hui roared and immediately charged into the Divine Ghost Sect. Yes. On the other hand, Suffering True God and One True God shouted excitedly. They immediately appeared at the gap that Xing Hui had torn open in the Wheel of Life and Death formation. Their bodies trembled slightly. The Divine Ghost Sect was a powerful organization that did not pale in comparison to the Black Flame cult, yet right now, such a powerful organization was actually in danger of being destroyed under the might of the Green Ruins Sword Master alone. The two of them immediately felt a sense of glory when they saw this. Xing Hui, do you really want to wipe out the Divine Ghost Sect? Divine King Constellation roared furiously. He tried his best to resonate with the Wheel of Life and Death formation with his territory power, then swept towards Xing Hui in an attempt to block Xing Hui's invasion. The war was started by the Divine Ghost Sect. Since you dare to provoke the Heaven Dome Sect, you naturally have to pay the price for your actions. If the Divine Ghost Sect breaks through the Heaven Dome Sect that only has one sword wielder, I believe the Divine Ghost Sect will not show mercy. If that's the case, what else do you have to say? Accept the judgment of the Heaven Dome Sect. Xing Hui roared and the Scarlet Abyss Sword shot out flowing light. It swept up a brilliant light and slashed down. Even though the Divine King Constellation's territory was supported by part of the Wheel of Life and Death formation, it was still unavoidable that it was torn apart by his sword. A vacuum with a diameter of 100 meters appeared. Before the Divine King Constellation could restore the vacuum with more territory power, Xing Hui's second and third slashes followed closely behind. Intense flames mixed with energy shockwaves that could be seen with the naked eye spread wildly. Half of the Divine King Constellation's territory was torn apart. Xing Hui himself was enough to bring him into the attack range. Divine King Constellation, be careful. Seeing this, the Divine King of Brutality ignored his own injuries. His territory origin wildly burned and swept toward Xing Hui. Where's the Divine Wilderness? Why haven't they arrived yet? The Divine Wilderness says Xing Hui is tyrannical. They need at least 5 sages to be able to resist him. They need us to hold on for 6 more hours. 6 hours? The Divine King of Constellation's eyes widened. He stared at Xing Hui, who was like a true sun god descending with dazzling sword light. His eyes were filled with despair. Let alone 6 hours, even if it was just an hour, the Divine Ghost Sect might not be able to hold on. It's over. It's over. Our Divine Ghost Sect is finished. Divine King Constellation, our Divine Ghost Sect's Voidwalker Yuan Lai's personal space has already reached the 8th level. He only needs to rush up 2 levels to reach the 10th level. Take our Divine Ghost Sect's Hope, Seed, and Voidwalker Yuan Lai and quickly retreat. Xing Hui, I will stop him. The Divine King of Brutality's eyes were filled with grief and determination. Divine King Brutality. The Divine King of Constellation's eyes were filled with pain. However, looking at the undefeatable Xing Hui, he had no choice but to accept the reality before him. I swear right here that one day, I will kill my way up to the heavens and avenge you. The Divine King of Constellation cursed with hatred. His resentment almost shot up into the clouds. After saying that, he turned around and flew into the Divine Ghost Sect. The Divine King of Brutality's eyes were filled with ferocity. He stared at Xing Hui fiercely. Let me see just how big the gap between me and an utmost powerful being is. Source Point Disintegration Technique. Casting the Forbidden Technique, the Divine King of Brutality's territory origin shattered, turning into a mighty territory torrent that filled every corner of his territory. Chapter 676. Ruthless Earth God King had destroyed his own origin of realm in exchange for a vast amount of realm power. However, he was unable to turn the situation around. Without the origin of his domain, his power of domain immediately became rootless. Even though he was able to put up a fight against Qing Su in the beginning and end up in a stalemate, as time went on, his power of domain decreased and he lost the upper hand in the end. Once most of the power of his domain had been consumed, he was no longer Qing Su's opponent. He was burnt to a crisp by the scorching flames of the Sword of Sunlight. However, Ruthless Earth God King's sacrifice was worth it. He had bought nearly 30 breaths of time for the Divine Ghost Gate, and in this time, the Constellation God King had already taken the core items of the Divine Ghost Gate, as well as the most talented disciples and mighty figures, into the personal space of the Voidwalker, Yuan Lai. He then had Yuan Lai activate a teleportation technique and leave the Divine Ghost Gate. When Tsing Hui killed Ruthless Earth God King, there were only a bunch of small fries left in Divine Ghost Sect, with the highest being in Golden Elixir Realm. At this moment, many Almighties and Golden Elixir Realm elders from Black Flame Sect had finally arrived. Tsing Hui ordered without hesitation, "Kill your way in." Divine Ghost Sect has provoked the alliance of Heaven Vault Sect, White Rainbow Sword Sect, Sword Shadow Sect, and Black Flame Sect. They have to pay the price. Today, Divine Ghost Sect will be destroyed. The Almighties and Golden Elixir Realm elders from Black Flame Sect who had received the order shouted excitedly. They quickly charged towards the disciples, elders and attendants of Divine Ghost Sect who had lost the protection of Almighties. In an instant, the Divine Ghost Sect was drowned in cries and blood. Divine Ghost Sect is finished. Suffering True God and only True God looked at the Guardian Kings and Elders from Black Flame Sect who had charged into Divine Ghost Sect and started a massacre. They could not help but sigh. Divine Ghost Sect was on par with Black Flame Sect. Now, Tsing Hui had broken through their mountain gate and their protective formation. He had killed his way into the mountain gate and leveled the entire mountain gate. Even though there was still a Constellation Divine King left, a Divine Realm expert who had lost the mountain gate's protection could be killed by Tsing Hui if he wanted to. It could be said that Divine Ghost Sect had no chance of making a comeback. Looking at the Divine Ghost Sect's end, Real God Suffering and Real God Only were shocked. At the same time, they were extremely glad. If the Black Flame Sect had not made the right choice at the crucial moment, the Divine Ghost Sect would have ended up like the Black Flame Sect. Tsing Hui glanced at Divine Ghost Sect. Even though Divine Ghost Sect had been leveled by him, the valuable items were taken away by the Constellation Divine King. Even though the remaining items were valuable, they were nothing to Tsing Hui. He said, "Collect the spoils of war from Divine Ghost Sect. 30% will belong to Black Flame Sect. As for the rest, send it to Tianxiong. Is that okay?" No. Suffering True God said quickly. Only True God said embarrassedly, "In actual fact, we did not play any role in the entire war. Isn't 30% too much?" "It's okay. Since Black Flame Sect contributed, they should naturally get what they deserve." Afterwards, he looked at the True God of Suffering and the True God of Salvation. "Give the orders and leave with me. With the two of you, we've basically gathered all the saints on our side. Next, we should try and see if we can rip open the chaotic origin world of the Celestial Chaos Holy Exalt and save the Reverend Zhu Zhao, the Reverend Heaven, the Reverend Bai Heng, the Reverend Long Rainbow, the Shadow Sword, and so on. Tear apart Chaos Holy Man's chaotic origin realm?" The Suffering True God and the One True God were slightly taken aback. As veteran Saint Realm experts of the Heaven Wasteland world, they obviously knew how tough the Primal Chaos Realm was. Back when the Primal Chaos Holy Man was still at the first layer of the Saint Realm, he had once used the Primal Chaos Realm to trap 14 saints for a day. Now that the Primal Chaos Holy Man had broken through to the Void Transformation Realm, the Primal Chaos Realm's ability to withstand attacks had increased by several levels. Let alone the fact that the Primal Chaos Holy Man only had the Qing Su Swordmaster and the Shadow-bearing Swordmaster on their side. Even if the remaining 9 experts worked together, they might not necessarily be able to rip the Primal Chaos Realm apart. Swordmaster Tsing Hui, with our abilities, it's still not enough to tear apart Chaos Origin Realm, right? If we want to tear apart Chaos Origin Realm by force, it's not enough. But what if we use Paradise Divine Stone? Paradise Divine Stone? Suffering True God suddenly understood Tsing Hui and the rest's plan. His eyes lit up. "If we have enough Paradise Divine Stone, there's a great chance. All right, let your people from Black Flame Sect search as soon as possible. Destroy those that you can't take away. We'll head to Rainbow Sword Sect in 2 hours." Tsing Hui said. Suffering True God and only True God quickly replied. Following the orders of the 2 True Gods, the Elders and Almighties who were originally elites of Black Flame Sect immediately started to plunder crazily in God Ghost Sect. Just like Tsing Hui's orders, they destroyed those that they couldn't take away. In an instant, shocking energy fluctuations and blazing flames rose in God Ghost sect. After 2 hours, the entire God Ghost sect was almost drowned in blazing flames. The billowing smoke turned into a black pillar under the burning flames, shooting straight up into the sky. Even from hundreds of kilometers away, it could be seen clearly. In God Ghost sect, there were naturally spies from other forces. However, following the destruction of God Ghost sect, these spies were naturally destroyed along with God Ghost sect. However, before they died, they spread the news. It was foreseeable that the destruction of God Ghost sect would cause a great shock in the entire divine wilderness. However, this was naturally what Xinghui wanted to see. The Divine Ghost sect thought that the experts of Tianqiong were trapped by the Chaos Holy Venerate and dared to take advantage of the situation, so he used the same method he used to destroy the Divine Ghost sect. He wanted everyone to understand that even if the Master Zhu Zhao, Master Tianqiong, Swordmaster Bai Heng, Swordmaster Long Rainbow, Swordmaster Yuing, and so on were all trapped by the Chaos Holy Venerate, Tianqiong still could not be humiliated by any organization as long as he, Qing Su, existed. Otherwise, the Divine Ghost sect would be their lesson. After ordering the people of Black Flame sect to plunder God Ghost sect, he set off again with Suffering True God, Only True God and the rest, flying towards Rainbow Sword sect. Before reaching Rainbow Sword sect, Xinghui had already received messages from Master Zhongzhen, Master Pengguang, Master Shadow Bearing, Master Xingyi and the rest in Chaos Temple. When Xinghui appeared in Chaos Temple, these people immediately swarmed up and surrounded him. They all laughed and said, "Good, good. Master Xinghui, you are really surprising. I originally thought that you were going to God Ghost sect to teach them a lesson and kill 1 or 2 of their experts who were guarding the resource points in the outside world. I didn't expect you to break through the mountain gate of God Ghost sect and kill Ruthless Earth and Huodou. Even the mountain gate of God Ghost sect was burned down by you. This battle is enough to let the entire divine wilderness understand the power of our 3-sect alliance. Anyone who dares to challenge our 3-sect alliance will have to pay the price in blood. It's not the 3-sect alliance, it should be the 4-sect alliance now," Xinghui said with a smile. At the same time, he told them about how he met Suffering True God, Only True God and the rest, as well as how the 2 true gods helped him break through God Ghost sect. Suffering and Soul Divinity, these 2 divinities are rather decisive. Fortunately, they immediately took a stand and joined our 3-sect alliance. Otherwise, today's Divine Ghost sect would have ended up like their Black Flame sect. Master Pengguang thought about how he had sent people to ask for help from Black Flame sect and snorted coldly. "You've managed to destroy a sect with a protective formation. Sword Master Qing Su, you really do amaze the world with a single feat. Even I was unable to forcefully infiltrate the God and Devil sect and kill the saints of their sect when their cycle of life and death formation was activated. From today's battle, I can see that not only do you possess the strength of a sovereign, but you probably rank towards the top even among sovereigns. You're in existence on par with esteemed Zhu Zhao, Hall Master Xuanji, and the Samsara Lord at the very least." Master Ching Ying said sincerely. Among the 10 absolute experts of the divine wilderness, Hundun Holy Man, Tai Emperor and the Ancient Baron's Holy Master were all in the 2nd level of the Saint Realm, Paradise stage. They were all unbelievably powerful. The remaining 3 were Master Zhu Zhao, Hall Master Xianji and Samsara Holy Master. After these 3 were on the absolute experts list, their positions were impregnable and no one could shake them. After these 3 were the Sun Moon Divine King, Master Cheng Ying, Holy Master Gui and the Jade Emperor Holy Man. However, although these 4 were absolute experts, they belonged to the weakest level of the absolute experts. If people like the Sky-Splitting Holy Master were fully prepared, they might be able to shake their positions. If 4 or 5 ordinary true gods were to join forces against one of them, they might even be able to defeat them. Take the Master Ching Ying for example. If the Lihan Holy Man, Wu Se Holy Man and the Styx River Holy Man, who were proficient in domain-type techniques were to join forces, they would be able to hold their own against the Master Ching Ying even without the addition of the Anusrava Holy Man. If the Anusrava Holy Man were to join forces, the Master Ching Ying would have to retreat and avoid him. After the battle at the Divine Ghost Sect, no one from our Firmament, Sword Shadow, or Rainbow Sword Sect will dare to provoke us in the near future. As for the Divine Wilderness and Eternal, they can't wait for us to fight the Heavenly Tao until both sides suffer, so they won't easily provoke us. What we need to do next is to rescue Reverend Zhu Zhao, Venerable Firmament, Sword Master Bai Heng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Master Umbra as soon as possible. Only after rescuing them will we have the hope of truly resisting the Heavenly Tao, or even defeating it. Xing Hui said, "Don't worry, we have already gathered the Heavenly Abode stones. Now, we are just waiting for you, the suffering true God and the one true God. Once all of you are here, we will try and see if we can tear the chaotic dimension apart. I believe that we will succeed. It's time for the Heavenly Tao to disperse the dark clouds that have been covering our heads." Xing Hui nodded his head. Chapter 677. As Xing Hui sped towards the Rainbow Sword Sect, the news of the destruction of the Divine Ghost Sect had spread to every major force in the Divine Wilderness. Those forces that were stronger than the Divine Ghost Sect were better off, but those that were weaker than the Divine Ghost Sect were all silent. Some of the forces that were connected to the Rainbow Sword Sect and the Celestial Dome Sect immediately retreated hundreds to thousands of kilometers to show their attitude. Some of them even tried to contact the Celestial Dome Sect immediately after receiving the news, hoping to join the Celestial Dome Sect, the Rainbow Sword Sect, the Sword Shadow Sect, and the Black Flame Sect. Anyone could see that as long as the four-sect alliance could destroy the Chaos Origin realm of the Chaos Holy Man and allow Master Zhu Zhao and the others to escape, they would immediately become a colossus that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Celestial Dome Sect, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternal Realm. Compared to those weak forces that were silent, the Eternal Realm and the Divine Wilderness, whose positions were threatened, immediately called for a meeting. There were 9 emperors in the Eternity, but Emperor Tai Yi, who ranked first among the 9 emperors, was currently in seclusion. He was racing against time to step into the vacuum-shattering realm while the Chaos Holy Man wanted to surpass the Chaos Holy Man when he came out of seclusion to deal with the Heavenly Axiom, so he could avoid the threat from the Heavenly Axiom. The second was the brilliant Sun Emperor who went to the Kongli continent not long ago. This emperor was forced by the Qing Su to use the art of teleportation under the interference of the Lihan Heaven realm. Unless he had great luck, it was impossible for him to return in such a short time. In addition to the Black Light Emperor who was also teleported to the space mezzanine by the art of teleportation, the remaining 6 emperors, including the 4 experts of the Saint Realm from the Illuminating World Sect, were less than 10 people. Among the 10 great saints, there were only 2 people in the second tier, and the remaining 8 were ordinary saints. Not to mention suppressing the Celestial Dome Sect, the Sword Shadow Sect, the Rainbow Sword Sect, and the Black Flame Sect, they could not even fight against the 2 supreme experts, Xing Hui and the Shadow-bearing Sword Master. Therefore, the many saints in the Chaos Temple discussed and decided to postpone all attacks on the 4-sect alliance until the outcome of the battle between the Celestial Dome Sect and the Celestial Dome Sect was decided. On the other side, the Divine Wilderness made a similar choice as Eternity. Even though Constellation God King had brought the remnants of the Divine Ghost Sect to the Divine Wilderness, weeping blood as he accused Sky Xing Hui, suffering true God, and only true God of all sorts of atrocities, without any clear instructions from Emperor Tai Yi, the other emperors of Eternity were also stalling. Everything would have to wait until the outcome of the battle between the 4-sect alliance and the Heavenly Tao was decided. Once the outcome of the battle was decided, it would be the time for the Eternal and Divine Wilderness realms to completely devour and expel the 2 powerful forces that threatened them. Sword Master Xing Hui. Sword Master Xing Hui is here. Ah, Sword Master Xing Hui, please take a seat. When Qing Su's group truly set foot in the Fogbo Sword Sect, all the great figures of the sect, from the Sword Master of Pengguang who possessed the highest status and seniority to the Flying Fish Sword Saint, Ji Xian Sword Saint, and so on, came out to receive them as soon as possible. Qing Su glanced past them one by one. Not only did he see the Mist Wisdom Sword Saint, but he also saw the final sainthood powerhouse of Sword Shadow, the Profound Comprehension Sword Master. The 2 of them, coupled with the luminous light sword master, the Xingyi sword master, the shadow-bearing sword master, Qing Su himself, as well as the suffering true god and the one true god who had come as reinforcements, there were a shocking 8 sainthood powerhouses. Have the arrangements been made at Sky Sword Sect? Xing Hui asked Venerable Tsang Zhen, who had also rushed to the Fogbow Sword Sect. The arrangements are almost done. Venerable Yuan Ri will be in charge of the Sky Dome base. However, I've already brought some of the most precious resources with me. Even if some ignorant force comes to our Sky Dome base at this time and destroys it, the losses caused will be within the range that we can bear. Venerable Tsang Zhen said with a smile. Haha, I believe that at this critical moment, there won't be any faction that dares to have any ideas about Sky Sword Sect. Otherwise, the God Ghost Sect will serve as a warning to them. Sword Shadow's profound comprehension sword master said with a smile. That's right. The God Ghost Sect is an ancient sect that has existed for more than 4,000 years. At its peak, it had 5 great sages. In terms of historical glory, the 1 hall, 3 sects, 6 religions, and 9 gates cannot be compared to them. However, such an ancient and powerful sect was trampled to pieces by Sword Master Tsing Hui's divine might alone. Their magnificent mountain gate was burned to the ground, and 2 of the 3 great sages perished. Only 1 constellation godly king was left alive and fled to the divine wilderness. With this lesson in mind, from today onwards, any faction that wants to have any ideas about the heavenly Tao will have to carefully consider if they can bear the consequences of Sword Master Tsing Hui's wrath. Sword Master Peng Guang was also in a good mood. Sword Master Peng Guang is too kind. Tsing Hui gave a slight nod of his head. On Sky Sword Sect's side, besides Venerable Tsang Zhen, there were also Yulan, Reverend Wu Fa, Reverend Purple Sky, and other powerful experts accompanying them. Seeing that Tsing Hui was still a core member of the Saint Realm powerhouses, these powerful experts who had some simple interactions with Tsing Hui were filled with emotion. Not too long ago, Tsing Hui had still been a Saint Realm junior in front of them, but while they were distracted, this junior that they had only noticed because of Reverend Zhu Zhao had grown to a level that was not inferior to them. And before they could process the change in Tsing Hui's status, he had already left them far behind and leapt to become a supreme divine that stood at the peak of the world. This change, it was simply overwhelming, and they could not help but feel that the affairs of the world were unpredictable. We already have 8 great saints on our side, but we have 9 Grotto Heaven divine stones. It's best to gather another Saint Realm powerhouse. With 1 more, there'll be more hope. After all, if we can't tear the Chaos Primordial realm apart this time, I'm afraid we won't know when we'll be able to gather 9 Grotto Heaven divine stones again. At this moment, Sword Master Qing'ing, who was among the crowd, said solemnly, "Find another Saint Realm powerhouse." When everyone heard this, their gazes could not help but fall on True God Suffering and True God Only from Black Flame Sect. Currently, among the 4 sect alliances, the only force that still had a Saint Realm powerhouse was Black Flame Sect. However, they did not say anything. After all, having a Saint Realm powerhouse in the mountain guarding formation and without one were 2 completely different concepts. With a Saint Realm powerhouse, even if there was only one, the enemy would still need 4 or 5 Saint Realm experts to expend a great amount of energy to break the mountain guarding formation of Black Flame Sect. However, if there was no Saint Realm powerhouse in the mountain guarding formation of Black Flame Sect, 1 or 2 saints would be enough to completely tear Black Flame Sect's mountain gate apart. Hence, if they really let the last Saint Realm powerhouse of Black Flame Sect appear, it would be equivalent to asking Black Flame Sect to risk giving up their mountain gate to provide assistance. They really did not know how to make such an excessive request. True God Only and True God Suffering sensed everyone's gazes and understood that it was time for Black Flame Sect to express their attitude and make a choice. After hesitating for a while, they finally gritted their teeth and said, "I'll go and contact True God Savior now and ask him to hurry over. Then, we'll have to trouble True God Suffering." Tsing Hui stepped forward and said in a deep voice. However, before True God Only could contact True God Savior, Yulan seemed to have received some news and quickly stepped forward. Venerable Master, Venerable Yuanri just sent news that the Grand Emperor Dao Master has appeared outside our Heaven Dome Sect's encampment. Currently, he's only spying on us and hasn't made his next move. The Grand Emperor Dao Master? They really dare to come? How dare they? A trace of anger flashed across Venerable Master Tsang Zhen's eyes. At the same time, the soothing sound sword saint also received news from outside the sect. Our disciples also reported that Heaven Dao's Blood Plate Dao Lord has appeared 4,000 kilometers away. Blood Plate Dao Lord? The one who's ranked third among the Heaven Dao's 36 Dao Lords and has cultivated an undying body? Sword Master Pengguang frowned slightly. At this moment, True God Suffering smiled bitterly and said, "We also received news from Black Flame Sect. Someone from Heaven Dao has appeared outside our Black Flame Sect's mountain gate." Sword Master Pengguang, Sword Master Profound Comprehension, Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Master Shadow Bearing, and the others looked at each other, and the atmosphere became slightly heavy. It seems like Heaven Dao's people have seen through our plan. If we leave en masse, Heaven Dao's people will definitely obstruct us. Our White Rainbow Sword sect is slightly better as it's only 6,000 kilometers away. If something really happens, they can still hold on until we arrive in time. However, if it's Black Flame Sect and Heaven Dome Sect, I'm afraid their mountain gates will be quickly breached. Xing Hui couldn't help but fall silent for a moment. He couldn't possibly ask Black Flame Sect to abandon their own mountain gate and come out in full force to assist him. That would be too much. Why don't I try? At this moment, a voice suddenly came from the crowd. As Xing Hui looked toward the voice, he was slightly stunned. Hidden Sword Master? Sword Master, why are you here? Now that you're in such a big trouble, how can I just stand by and watch? Hidden Sword Master smiled faintly. When the other sages saw Hidden Sword Master speaking at this moment, they couldn't help but frown slightly. They were studying how to use the heavenly stone to create a blow that could shatter the vacuum. Hidden Sword Master was just a law embodiment of heaven and earth. He didn't have a level 17 god weapon like Sword Saint Lan Rui. However, True God Suffering, who had previously fought with Hidden Sword Master, had his eyes quickly lit up after hearing Hidden Sword Master's words. That's right. Hidden Sword Master, we still have Hidden Sword Master with us. Hidden Sword Master's sword skills are shocking and his power is strong enough to rival that of a divine being. In fact, the power of his sword skills is even stronger than that of a normal divine being. Anyway, we only want to attack the Chaos Origin realm and don't have too many requirements in other aspects. Hidden Sword Master's peerless sword skills completely meet the standards of the 9th divine being. Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Master Shadow Bearing, Sword Master Profound Comprehension, Sword Master Pengguang, and the others heard True God Suffering's words and looked back and forth between True God Suffering and Hidden Sword Master in surprise. True God Suffering is what you said true? Hidden Sword Master's sword skills are not inferior to that of a divine being? Does he have a level 17 god sword? There's no need for a level 17 god sword. Back then, due to some misunderstandings, I once fought with Hidden Sword Master. Hidden Sword Master's attack is definitely at the level of a divine being. He's even slightly stronger than a normal divine being. True God Suffering said confidently. Xing Hui, who was beside him, also nodded heavily. He knew the power of the ultimate sword principle and did not doubt Hidden Sword Master at all. I can also guarantee that Hidden Sword Master is qualified to be the 9th divine being. When the other Sword Masters saw that Xing Hui and True God Suffering approved of Hidden Sword Master at the same time, they also knew that Xing Hui would not joke about such an important occasion. They immediately made a decision. If that's the case, let's not waste any time. We'll set off now. With the combined power of the 9 of us, we'll use the power of the Heavenly Cave Divine Stone to shatter the Chaos Origin realm and save Zhuzhou, Bai Heng, Yu Ying, Song Qiong, and Chang Hong. Chapter 678. Karma Peak. The Primal Chaos realm formed by the Primal Chaos Holy Man was still suspended in the air above Karma Peak. Balls of grayish-black Primal Chaos vital energy were continuously spreading from this Primal Chaos realm, emitting a terrifying and oppressive aura. The entire primal chaos realm had already separated itself from the divine wilderness world, and was equivalent to a subsidiary world attached to the divine wilderness world. Even though it only had a diameter of a few hundred kilometers, its internal space was definitely vast and boundless. It was possible to say that it was thousands of kilometers, or even tens of thousands of kilometers. In such a long distance, even if the divine saints within the primal chaos realm continuously unleashed their most destructive moves, they would still be digested and devoured by the primal chaos realm. Therefore, it was many times more difficult to tear apart the primal chaos realm from the inside than from the outside. Xing Hui and company exited the Rainbow Sword sect and quickly arrived at the Karma Peak. However, before they could gather their strength to tear apart the primal chaos realm, a few figures had already appeared in the void and wandered around the periphery of Karma Peak. It's the Heavenly Lord Wuqing, the Styx River Holy Man, the Heavenly Lord Shangshan, and the Formless Holy Man. Looking at the four figures, the Pingguang Swordmaster's expression changed. How dare they appear in front of us? What, are they trying to interfere when we're trying our best to tear apart the primal chaos realm? The Xingyi Swordmaster was a little angry. I'll go and take care of them, the shadow-bearing Swordmaster said and was about to go. It's useless. The Pingguang Swordmaster looked at the four figures and his expression turned ugly. Look at their figures, their positions are constantly changing. If I'm not wrong, this should be the ultimate treasure of the Divine Path sect, the Wuji Mirror, in action. The Wuji Mirror has reached the 17th level and it doesn't have any special effects. However, it can allow those who have formed a contract with the Wuji Mirror to constantly change their position within the range of the Wuji Mirror. Allow those who have formed a contract with the Wuji Mirror to change their position within the range of the Wuji Mirror? Xing Hui's expression changed slightly. Are there any restrictions on changing positions? How wide is the everlasting mirror? There are restrictions, but they aren't big. Every time you change your position, you have to re-establish a contract with the everlasting mirror. As for the range of the everlasting mirror, it depends on how much energy is injected into the everlasting mirror. If thousands upon thousands of Golden Core Realm experts were to inject energy into the everlasting mirror, then the range of the everlasting mirror would reach tens of thousands, or even close to 100,000 kilometers. 100,000 kilometers? Didn't that mean they were going straight to the Divine Dao sect? The Divine Dao sect is only 80,000 kilometers away from here. There's no need to directly teleport them to the Divine Dao sect, because the Divine Dao sect has dust-repelling stones. The dust-repelling stones will interfere with this kind of teleportation. However, the location where they've summoned the everlasting mirror is definitely not far from the Divine Dao sect. This way, it'll be convenient for them to retreat to the Divine Dao sect's protective formation at any time. As a result, even if we wanted to destroy the everlasting mirror first, we'd be powerless. The dust-leaving stone can interfere with this kind of transmission. Xing Hui's heart stirred. If we place enough dust-cleansing stones on Karma Peak, will there be an effect? We can try. However, if we want to affect a radius of several hundred kilometers, I'm afraid there will need to be enough dust-cleansing stones. Xing Hui furrowed his brows. Enough. He had quite a number of dust-cleansing stones on him. If he was willing to run to the Kongli continent again, he might be able to gather enough dust-cleansing stones to interfere with the teleportation within a radius of several hundred kilometers. However, he was afraid that after blocking the interference of the everlasting mirror, they would think of other ways. Passive defense was not desirable. He had to teach them an unforgettable lesson. As he thought of this, Xing Hui's expression turned cold instantly. His gaze landed on his chaos grade at the first instant. It was only a 600-year-old Dao item. Heavenly Lord Wuqing, Styx River Holy Man, Heavenly Lord Shangshan, Colorless Holy Man. Among these few people, the one who poses the greatest threat is the Heavenly Lord Wuqing. Furthermore, to me, the one who's most restrained is the Heavenly Lord Wuqing. In the next moment, the hundreds of Dao-bearing treasures on him were incinerated. His chaos level, which had stopped at the 59th level, quickly broke through the 60th level as the Dao-bearing treasures absorbed it. Moreover, after the 60th level opened the dimensional lock, his chaos level charged to the 61st, 62nd, 63rd, and 64th level. The dimensional lock also rose from the 1st level to the 5th level, directly undergoing its first mutation. Indeed, it's exactly as I predicted. The mutation that occurred when the dimensional lock reached level 5 is that it can choose the time to activate the dimensional lock. Tsing Hui's gaze landed on the Heavenly Lord Wuching, Styx River Holy Man, Heavenly Lord Shangshun, Colorless Holy Man, and the rest. The few of you, be careful. I'll deal with one of them first. If everything goes well, I'll destroy the everlasting mirror. Deal with them? The sword master of the Qingying sword was stunned. How? The everlasting mirror can allow them to change their position at will. This is equivalent to them having a temporary teleportation spell. If it was in the past, Tsing Hui, you could use your sword mind to shake their souls and have the hope of capturing and killing them. However, they are already well prepared against your sword mind attack. If you want to use your sword mind to destroy their souls and then kill them, I'm afraid you won't be able to do it. I have my ways. Wait for me for a while. It won't take more than a few hours. Tsing Hui laughed. After that, he turned around and flew towards the Heavenly Lord Wuching. As he saw Tsing Hui flying towards him, the Heavenly Lord Wuching's expression changed slightly. However, he only gritted his teeth and retreated. He wanted to increase the distance between himself and Tsing Hui as much as possible. At the same time, he used this method to stall for time. Before they came up with this strategy, they were already prepared to fight for a long time. In terms of resources and expenditure, they believed that the Heavenly Way and the Divine Path sect were above the four-sect alliance. Heavenly Lord Wuching, be careful. Try to stall for time as much as possible. The Anisrava Holy Man is currently in the process of recovering. If he is fast, he will take a few days. If he is slow, he will be able to recover completely. When that happens, he will research and set up a formation that doesn't require the power of the ley lines. As long as it doesn't require the power of the ley lines, Tsing Hui won't be able to do anything to him. When that happens, the battlefield will still belong to us. The voice of the Styx River Holy Man came from afar and echoed in the mind of the Heavenly Lord Wuching. I understand. The Heavenly Lord Wuching replied. Although his expression was serious, he still stared at the approaching Tsing Hui. He did not use the power of the everlasting mirror to escape immediately. Sword Master Tsing Hui, you can't win. The Heavenly Lord Wuching looked at Tsing Hui, who was charging towards him in an instant. He let out a low roar and the power of the realm swept towards Tsing Hui. He already knew that his strongest Abhijna, the Love Destroyer, could not hurt Tsing Hui. He did not waste any more energy and only continued to use the power of the realm to tangle with Tsing Hui. Unfortunately, the combination of the Sword of the Sun and Chasing Light made it impossible for the Heartless Heaven Monarch to use this method to stall for time. Especially with his 10th order recovery, he was almost like a perpetual motion machine. If it wasn't for the Scarlet Abyss Sword's upper limit, as long as he maintained a certain frequency, he would be able to slash out the Sword of the Sun permanently without worrying about energy consumption. Seeing that Tsing Hui was about to attack him through the realm, the Heavenly Lord Wuching immediately said, Sword Master Tsing Hui, this is meaningless. I believe you already know that we have used the Divine Tao sect's most valuable treasure, the Everlasting Mirror. With the protection of the Everlasting Mirror, you can't kill us. Rather than that, why don't we join forces? Although the Divine Wilderness has the Heavenly Tao, Eternal, and Divine Wilderness, the one who truly has the qualifications to rule the Divine Wilderness is the Heavenly Tao. As long as your four-sect alliance joins the Heavenly Tao, not only will you be able to resolve the crisis you are facing immediately, you will also have the hope of leaving this desolate Divine Wilderness and heading to a higher world to cultivate to a higher realm. Sword Master Tsing Hui, you are overflowing with talent and even have the hope of creating a world with a single thought in the future, becoming an important figure in the primal chaos void. You don't wish to die of old age in the Divine Sage realm because of environmental factors, right? Are these your last words? Tsing Hui slashed out once again, completely tearing apart the Heavenly Lord Wuching's realm. And his attitude seemed to have infuriated the Heavenly Lord Wuching, causing him to roar, Fool! We are all heaven-bestowed geniuses, proud sons of heaven that were born from the providence of the entire divine wilderness. Our futures are limitless, so how can we ignore our future development just because of a small sex bias? There is an even wider stage outside the divine wilderness, and only the heavenly Tao can bring us to that stage. For someone like you who is stubbornly guarding the divine wilderness without any future, you will only be stuck in a stalemate. There will come a day when you will be eliminated in the long river of history. When your lifespan comes to an end and you are on your deathbed, even if you want to join the heavenly Tao and head to a higher world with the heavenly Tao, you will no longer have the chance. This is the reason why you betrayed the divine wilderness, and you say it in such a dignified manner? I don't care about the future of the divine wilderness, but I am indebted to exalted candlelight and exalted firmament. You assisted the heavenly Tao in trapping them and wanted to kill them, so you are my enemy. As my enemy, you should be prepared to pay the price of your life. Open for me. The moment Xing Hui finished speaking, the scarlet abyss sword burst out with light, and the layer of domain that was blocking him and Heavenly Lord Heartless was instantly torn apart. The moment the domain was torn apart, Heavenly Lord Heartless' expression changed. He immediately used the power of the contract with the everlasting mirror to pull his body, disappearing in front of Xing Hui. Since you can't kill me, let us see who will have the last laugh. You will see it soon. Xing Hui's dimensional lock immediately locked onto Heavenly Lord Heartless. The moment Heavenly Lord Heartless disappeared, the dimensional lock's power was activated. The next moment, the space around him rapidly changed, and the teleportation efficiency was even faster than the teleportation technique. When Heavenly Lord Heartless appeared on a mountain less than 200 kilometers away from the Divine Tao sect, Xing Hui's figure had already appeared. Seeing Xing Hui appear behind him, Heavenly Lord Heartless suddenly widened his eyes. I said you will see it soon. Chapter 679. Seeing Xing Hui suddenly appear in front of him, the Heavenly Lord of Mercilessness's eyes widened. Like I said, you will see who the final victor is. As Xing Hui spoke, Sword Will erupted. Blazing sword radiance filled the Heavenly Lord of Mercilessness's spiritual world. Before he could disperse this radiant sword radiance in time, the flowing light formed by the scarlet abyss sword in Xing Hui's hand had already swept across his body. Terrifying roiling flames completely engulfed his figure. The Heavenly Lord of Mercilessness. An existence whose combat strength could be classified as a third-tier pinnacle existence among the Divine Tao sect was annihilated on the spot under the horrified gazes of countless people in the Divine Tao sect. Tianxiong Xing Hui, it's Tianxiong Xing Hui. The sudden turn of events caused everyone in the Divine Tao sect to cry out in shock and fury. At this moment, the one overseeing the Divine Tao sect and wielding the Wuji mirror was the Heavenly Lord of Fire, who was originally overseeing the Karma Peak. Xing Hui's arrival also caused this Divine Tao sect powerhouse to turn pale with fright. Deeply aware of Xing Hui's overwhelming combat strength, he didn't hesitate at all. Immediately, he put the Wuji mirror into his personal space. After that, he retreated explosively and rapidly flew towards the Divine Tao sect, where the protective mountain formation was already fully activated. Leave? Do you think you can leave? Leave the Wuji mirror behind. Xing Hui roared, and the Lihen Heaven domain enveloped down. Even though the might of this 16th order domain type treasure in his hands was far inferior to when it was in the Lihen Holy Man's hands, it still required an all-out attack from a Divine Tao powerhouse like the Heavenly Lord of Fire to shatter it. The time it took for this attack was enough for Xing Hui, who had activated his light-chasing Abhijna, to catch up. Stop him! Fire Lord of Heaven roared. In the next moment, the 4 Earth-grade lawful phenomenon of heaven and earth experts beside him had already made their moves. These lawful phenomenon of heaven and earth experts had stayed behind to deal with the experts of the 4 sects who were pursuing them. Every one of them was in the state of lawful phenomenon of heaven and earth. At this moment, they simultaneously activated their divine abilities. For a moment, the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Xuanwu's divine abilities appeared at the same time. The divine abilities they had transformed into contained supreme killing intent. Moreover, they intertwined as one and swept towards Tsinghui. The power of the divine abilities was inconceivable. Even if a true saint expert was hit head-on, he would not be able to escape the fate of having his domain torn apart. But Tsinghui wasn't at the domain realm. Moreover, with his light chaser ability, he didn't need to fear attacks from anyone below the saint realm. As the attacks of the 4 celestial phenomenon experts descended, his speed suddenly exploded. In an instant, he left the area covered by the 4 divine abilities and arrived behind Lord of the Virtues of Fire. He collided with Lord of the Virtues of Fire and Virtue's surging domain. Break! Strong light shot out in all directions. A ripple visible to the naked eye crazily squeezed Lord of the Virtues of Fire's domain. In the next second, it shook and tore Lord of the Virtues of Fire's domain into pieces. Slash! The moment Lord of the Virtues of Fire's domain was shattered, Tsinghui's sword intent was like a rising sun. It shone into Lord of the Virtues of Fire's spiritual world. It seemed like it would turn Lord of the Virtues of Fire's spiritual world into a sea of fire in the next second. However, at that moment, the phantom of a phoenix sacred beast suddenly appeared in Lord of the Virtues of Fire's spiritual world. It opened its mouth and sucked, swallowing Tsinghui's sword intent that had been projected into Lord of the Virtues of Fire's spiritual world. However, not long after the phoenix sacred beast phantom swallowed Tsinghui's brilliant sword intent, the explosive power of the sword intent had already caused the phoenix phantom to explode. Correspondingly, the power of the sword intent had also been exhausted. Relying on the phoenix sacred beast blood eagle, Lord of the Virtues of Fire recovered from Tsinghui's sword intent. His expression changed drastically. Damn it! My phoenix sacred figure can only block one attack. Lord of the Virtues of Fire was both shocked and fearful. The aura of the divine spell surged from his body. Even though it wasn't a high-level divine spell that could raise one's mastery by 2 levels, under the amplification of the divine spell, a brand new domain power surged forth and blocked Lord of the Virtues of Fire's body. After that, he clenched his fist and the Wuji mirror shot out flowing light in all directions. Following that, there were ripples in space. When the ripples in space dissipated, the Styx River Holy Man, Wusei Holy Man and Heavenly Lord of Shangshan, who were originally roaming around the Karma Peak, appeared at the same time. Lord of the Virtues of Fire? Seeing the changes in his surroundings, the Styx River Holy Man was slightly shocked. In the next moment, his gaze landed on Tsinghui, who was emitting a blazing aura. Wasn't he at the Karma Peak not too long ago? How can he appear here so quickly? Teleportation spell. It's the teleportation spell. There must be a spy near the Wuji mirror who passed the news over here. After that, he used his familiarity with the periphery of the Divine Path sect to follow Lord of the Virtues of Fire here. He took advantage of Lord of the Virtues of Fire's confusion to kill him. Lord of the Virtues of Fire shouted, "What?" Lord of the Virtues of Fire actually... Damn it! The third. This is already the 3rd holy sage that has fallen since the start of the War of the Heavenly Way. Murderous intent flashed in Heavenly Lord of Shangshan's eyes as he thought about the death of Lord of the Virtues of Fire. His gaze instantly landed on the Divine Path sect's protective mountain formation. He communicated with his telepathic thoughts. If the Divine Path sect's protective mountain formation is activated at its maximum capacity, its range will be extended by another 300 kilometers. It can completely envelop Tsinghui within the protective mountain formation of the Divine Path sect. With the power of the protective mountain formation and the combined power of the 4 great holy sages, we can completely trap him here and kill him on the spot. That's right, we'll use this method. I'll trap him. Heavenly Lord of Shangshan, you activate the protective mountain formation of the Divine Path sect. The Nether River Holy Man said viciously. Then, he held up his hand and the power of his domain boiled. It turned into a raging river that was 100 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide. The river was filled with the water of the Nether River. Once someone was swept into it, even an Aurus core stage cultivator would be corroded into nothingness. Tsing Hui saw that the Nether River Holy Man, Wu Sei Holy Man, and Lord of the Virtues of Fire did not immediately cooperate with the Lord of the Virtues of Fire to retreat into the Divine Path sect's protective mountain formation. Instead, they each used their own methods to try and trap him. He frowned and immediately realized that something was amiss. Then, he saw the Heavenly Lord of Shangshan rushing towards the Divine Path sect, which was only 50 kilometers away from him. He had already guessed something. He glanced at the Lord of the Virtues of Fire. More accurately, he was staring at the level 17 ultimate mirror in the Lord of the Virtues of Fire's hand. He said with some reluctance, "I'll let you all go this time. Wait until I tear apart the chaos dimension of the blunt holy man, then I'll deal with all of you one by one." After he finished speaking, he did not give the Heavenly Lord of Shangshan the chance to activate the protective mountain formation of the Divine Path sect. He unleashed his light-chasing Abhijna and accelerated to the extreme in an instant. He swept up a deafening sonic boom and disappeared into the horizon. Damn it, he actually ran away. This bastard is too alert. The moment he sensed that something was wrong with us, he immediately ran away. Furthermore, his flying speed is extremely fast. None of us can compare to him in terms of flying speed. The Heavenly Lord of Shangshan, Lord of the Virtues of Fire, Nether River Holy Man, and Wu Sei Holy Man watched Tsing Hui leave quickly. Their eyes were filled with hatred. However, it's fortunate that he has already used the teleportation spell. Even if his chaos dimension is extremely high and is suspected to be level 44, I don't think he will be able to use the teleportation spell again in a short period of time. The tragedy of the Heavenly Lord of Heartless will not happen to us. The Heavenly Lord of the Virtues of Fire said with some lingering fear. After hearing the Heavenly Lord of the Virtues of Fire mention the Heavenly Lord of Heartless, the Nether River Holy Man, Lord of the Virtues of Shangshan, and Wu Sei Holy Man all fell silent. They were filled with a sense of oppression. The Heavenly Lord of Heartless was the third type of divine sage. His love destroyer was so powerful that it was invincible against ordinary divine sages. However, such a powerful divine sage had fallen in the hands of Tsing Hui. The threat that Tsing Hui posed was so strong that it made them feel more and more oppressed and even suffocated. It had only been a few days since the battle between the Way of the Heavens and the Celestial Vault sect, the Rainbow Sword sect, the Black Flame sect, and the Sword Shadow sect. They had already paid the price of the Zhurong Holy Man, the Heavenly Lord of Water Virtue, and the Heavenly Lord of Heartless. The battle had yet to be concluded, but their losses had already reached such a level. When the four-sect alliance was completely destroyed by the Way of the Heavens, how many of them would be left? Even in the battle between the Way of the Heavens and the four-sect alliance, could they really have the last laugh? For the first time, the Heavenly Lord of the Virtues of Fire and the Heavenly Lord of the Virtues of Shangshan had such doubts. Heavenly Lord of the Virtues of Shangshan, Nether River Holy Man, Wu Sei Holy Man, all of you have to be careful. Tsing Hui's sword mind is much stronger than we imagined. Originally, we guessed that his sword mind was only slightly stronger than the Heavenly Lord of Heartless. But according to my experience, the power of his sword mind is at least twice as strong as the Heavenly Lord of Heartless Love Destroyer. Even after my Phoenix Holy statue was nurtured to its peak state, it could only resist his sword mind once. As the Heavenly Lord of the Virtues of Hu spoke, he took out a fiery red phoenix statue that was half the size of his palm. The statue, which was originally revolving with divine light, had already become dim. It was like an ornament in the mortal world. Twice as strong as the Love Destroyer, the expressions of the Nether River Holy Man, the Heavenly Lord of the Virtues of Shangshan, and the Wu Sei Holy Man became even more ghastly. Do we continue to harass them? Heavenly Lord of the Virtues of Shangshan was silent for a moment before he asked. The Nether River Holy Man and Wu Sei Holy Man looked at each other. As they thought about the fate of the Heavenly Lord of Heartless, the two of them did not speak. Even though Tsing Hui had already used his teleportation spell, it was important not to forget that there was still the Shadow-Bearing Sword Master. If the Shadow-Bearing Sword Master used his teleportation spell to chase after them, how could the few of them resist? Would they lose another one of them? As he thought of this, The Nether River holy man could not help but feel a deep sense of helplessness. There's no other way. We can only place our hopes on the blunt holy man. We can only hope that the chaotic realm of the chaotic holy man can withstand the attacks of Tsing Hui, the shadow-bearing swordmaster, and the rest. We can only spend 1 or 2 years to trap Zhu Zhao, Song Qiong, Bai Heng, Chang Hong, and Yu Ying to death. If we can trap them to death, we can still turn the tables. If we can't, the Nether River holy man did not need to elaborate on what would happen if they could not be trapped to death. The four-sect alliance, which had the Zhu Zhao exalted man, Tsing Hui, and the shadow-bearing swordmaster, would become the fourth most powerful figure in the divine wilderness after the heavenly way, the divine wilderness and the eternity. From today onwards, the structure of the divine wilderness would be changed because of this battle. Chapter 680. He's here. It's Swordmaster Tsing Hui. Tsing Hui is back. So fast. If I'm not wrong, it hasn't even been 2 hours since Tsing Hui chased after the Heavenly Lord Merciless. He actually returned from the Divine Path sect in 2 hours? With this speed, it won't take much time to traverse the entire Tianhuang mainland. Sensing the booming sound that came from the end of the horizon, Swordmaster Cheng Ying, Swordmaster Xing Yi, Swordmaster Peng Guang, Swordmaster Xian Wu, Real God Suffering, Real God Only, and the others who were waiting outside Cause and Effect Peak quickly looked over. Swish. They didn't have to wait for long before Tsing Hui appeared in front of them. Tsing Hui, did you manage to kill the Heavenly Lord Merciless in this battle? Seeing Tsing Hui return safely, Swordmaster Xing Yi smiled and asked. Oh, you didn't receive any news? Tsing Hui was a little surprised. Our spies have received news that a great battle erupted outside the sect between the Green Ruins Swordmaster and the Heavenly Lord of the Fire Virtue of the Divine Path sect. However, the people who can remain on the battlefield are all core members of the Divine Path sect. No one of unknown origins can enter the core circle, so the news we've received is limited to that battle. Swordmaster Xing Yi said. Even Swordmaster Xing Yi, who was proficient in gathering information, gave such an answer. The Rainbow Sword sect, Heaven Dome sect, and Black Flame sect were naturally not any better. The news they received was similar, or even worse than Swordmaster Xing Yi. Seeing this, Tsing Hui said, I've already killed the Heavenly Lord Merciless. It's a pity that the Heavenly Lord of the Fire Virtue reacted too quickly. He immediately used the power of the Wuji Mirror to send the Styx River Holy Man, Heavenly Lord of Goodness, and Colorless Holy Man back. This allowed the Heavenly Lord of the Fire Virtue to survive. I saw that we were less than 50 kilometers away from the Divine Path sect's protective formation. I was worried that something might happen, so I retreated. The Heavenly Lord Merciless was killed? This is great. In fact, in the entire way of the heavens, the one who poses the greatest threat to me is the Heavenly Lord of Heartless. Even the Anisrava Holy Man, Styx River Holy Man, and the rest are not as threatening as the Heavenly Lord of Heartless. Who would have thought that someone like the Heavenly Lord of Heartless would perish in the hands of you, Tsing Hui? Now, we can be even bolder when we need to carry out any operations. When Sword Master Xing Yi heard this, his face instantly lit up. True God Suffering nodded in agreement. The Heartless Heaven Lord's Love Destroyer Blade doesn't just kill a cultivator's physique. It can also destroy a cultivator's divine soul. I once fought with the Heartless Heaven Lord, and my divine soul was injured by the Heartless Heaven Lord's 3 blades. If it wasn't for true God Savior watching over me, I'm afraid my life would be in danger. Now that the Heartless Heaven Lord, who posed the greatest threat to us, is dead, our safety has undoubtedly increased greatly. The Heavenly Lord of Heartless isn't weak. Unfortunately, he met the Tsing Hui Sword Master. Tsing Hui Sword Master specializes in the art of the sword, and his sword mind is shocking. When his Passion Destroyer Blade mind clashed with Sword Master Tsing Hui Sword Master's sword mind, he was obviously at a disadvantage. As such, he was completely restrained by Sword Master Tsing Hui Sword Master. This is what it means to say that there's always someone stronger. The Pingguang Sword Master's face was also filled with joy. We have already received news that the Styx River Holy Man, the Heavenly Lord of Goodness, the Formless Holy Man, and the heavenly lord of the fire virtues seem to have given up. They are still lingering in the Divine Path sect and haven't left. It seems like they don't dare to come. The shadow-bearing sword master said with a smile. Every time they come, a divine sage dies. Every time they come, a divine sage dies. Even though the way of the heavens is rich and has many experts, they can't afford such losses. The sword master comprehends, sword master said. Everyone else nodded their heads forcefully. Are the people from the way of the heavens not planning to come out? Xing Hui glanced at his chaotic stage. To raise his chaotic stage to stage 65, the entire process would waste a total of 600 Taoist aura items. He originally wanted to use the dimensional lock to go on a killing spree. However, he didn't expect the death of the Heavenly Lord of Heartless to scare the Heavenly Lord of the Way of the Heavens and the Heavenly Lords of the Divine Path sect into not daring to act rashly. Looking at it this way, he seemed to have made a loss. Of course, this was only Xing Hui's thoughts. If the people from the Way of the Heavens knew that Xing Hui was still not satisfied after using 600 Taoist aura to exchange for a third-type divine sage, they would definitely stomp their feet and beat their chests in anger. If it were them, they wouldn't hesitate to kill the Heavenly Lord of the Heavens and Sword Master by hang for 1200 Taoist aura, let alone 600 Taoist aura. Alright, since the people from the Way of the Heavens are holed up in the Divine Path sect and won't come out, there's no time to lose. Let's go all out and activate the power of the Heavenly Abode Divine Stone and try to tear apart the chaotic dimension. Xing Hui said seriously. Everyone stopped joking and nodded seriously. Soon, they arrived at the bottom of the chaotic dimension. Let's attack together. The 9 of us will attack the same place. Only then can we hope to tear the chaotic dimension apart. Xing Hui commanded. Alright. We understand. Rest assured, Swordmaster Xing Hui. Everyone agreed one after another. The battle prowess that Qing Su had displayed recently had gained the recognition of everyone present. Even the master of the shadow-bearing sword admitted that he was not as powerful as Qing Su. As a result, everyone could not help but treat him as their new leader, so they followed his orders when they did things. Xing Hui looked at the chaotic dimension above his head that was emitting clouds of grayish-black aura. He took a deep breath and said seriously, "Everyone, I won't say much. The power of the Heavenly Abode Divine Stone has been drawn out and can only last for one breath. In this one breath, everyone should try your best to use your strongest killing moves and attack the place above me. Whether we can tear the chaotic dimension apart and rescue Master Zhu Zhao, Heavenly Lord, Sword Master Bai Heng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Master Yu Ying will depend on this." The others nodded solemnly as well. One by one, they took out their strongest divine weapons. Get ready. After 3 breaths, we will draw out the power of the Heavenly Abode Divine Stone and attack together. After Xing Hui finished speaking, the sword essence in his spiritual world was the first to burst out. Suddenly, brilliant sword light shone in all directions and turned into a giant sword shadow with a diameter of more than 100 meters. The sword essence emitted from the giant sword was so strong that it could suppress everything. Only Lan Rui, who was in celestial body and earth realm, felt her sword essence dissipating slightly. Fortunately, the Heavenly Abode Divine Sword contained sword essence, which allowed her to resist Xing Hui's sword essence. Sword Master Xing Hui is indeed worthy. The Sword Master of the Shadow-Bearing Sword looked at the brilliant sword essence emitted from Xing Hui's head and his fighting spirit was aroused. Although he knew that he was not a match for Xing Hui in a head-on battle, this did not mean that he was willing to be inferior. Immediately, the sword essence in the Shadow-Bearing Sword was also activated by him. For a moment, he seemed to have turned into a Void Walker. Although his sword essence was clearly bursting out, it was like a deep black hole that kept devouring the energy and light in the surroundings. As a result, no one could feel the existence of his sword essence at all. Since the Sword Master of the Shadow-Bearing Sword was like this, the other divine stage powerhouses also started to accumulate their power. Immediately, powerful domains started to boil under the chaotic origin realm. The aura of the divine stage turned into a pillar of air that soared into the sky and stirred up the wind and clouds. Even people hundreds or even thousands of kilometers away could sense it clearly. It has begun. Countless forces that had been watching Tianqiong, Sword Shadow, Rainbow Sword Sect, and Black Flame Order for a long time to see the alliance of the four sects against the Way of Heaven and the Divine Path sect thought to themselves at the same time. 9 divine stage powerhouses using the power of the Heavenly Cave Divine Stone to tear apart the chaotic origin realm of the chaotic origin realm of the chaotic origin realm. Throughout the past hundreds of years, such a battle was probably unprecedented. If it were not for the fact that they were too close to the Sword Master Tsing Hui and the Sword Master of the Shadow-Bearing Sword, the top figures of the major forces would not miss this opportunity. Tsing Hui, the Sword Master of the Shadow-Bearing Sword, the Sword Master of the Penguang Sword, the Sword Master of the Xingyi Sword, the Sword Master of the Profound Understanding Sword, the Suffering True God, the One True God, the Sword Master of the Mist Rue Sword, and the Sword Master of the Hidden Sword. Among the 9 of them, only 6 were in the divine stage. Tsing Hui, the Sword Master of the Mist Rue Sword, and the Sword Master of the Hidden Sword were not really in the divine stage. However, their attacks had all reached the divine stage. Especially Tsing Hui, whose Sword of the Sun was amplified by the divine power of the Chasing Light, its power had already surpassed that of ordinary divine stage powerhouses. Now, the 9 of them activated the power of the Heavenly Cave Divine Stone at the same time and attacked fiercely. For a moment, 9 different colored attacks soared into the sky like 9 pillars of light with destructive power that could tear apart the sky and instantly fell on the chaotic origin realm at the same time. Rumble. As the chaos primordial realm was hit by the 9 powerful attacks, the grayish-black airflow inside suddenly surged wildly. A huge crack instantly appeared outside the chaos primordial realm and kept spreading inwards. When the crack spread to a certain extent, everyone widened their eyes at the same time. They could clearly see the depths of the chaos primordial realm, the vast world that was thousands of kilometers long and looked like a vast starry sky. When everyone saw the vast starry sky, the figures in the starry sky also noticed them at the same time. Instantly, they all rushed over at their fastest speed. It's the Venerable Zhu Zhao, the Venerable Tianqiong, the Sword Master of the Baiheng Sword, the Sword Master of the Rainbow Sword, and the Sword Master of the Hidden Shadow Sword. Seeing the figures in the chaotic origin realm, Tsing Hui, the Sword Master of the Penguang Sword, the Sword Master of the Xingyi Sword, and the Sword Master of the Shadow-Bearing Sword cheered at the same time. However, before their cheers could spread, a vast and majestic sound that seemed to contain supreme mystery suddenly spread out from the chaotic origin realm with a power that could shake people's hearts. Reverse the universe. Suppress. Once the sound was heard, the grayish-black airflow around the chaotic origin realm that had been torn apart surged violently. In an instant, the cracks in all directions were mended rapidly. When everyone saw this scene, their expressions changed drastically. Oh no! Quickly attack and tear open the crack. We can't let the chaotic origin realm close up again. As the Sword Master of the Penguang Sword screamed, the 9 divine stage experts attacked one after another. Once again, terrifying attacks erupted from the 9 of them, surged into the sky, and collided with the grayish-black airflow that was constantly surging from the chaotic origin realm. Chapter 681. Open. Although the attack of the 9 divine realm experts did not tear the gap in the chaos realm open again, it caused the surging grayish-black airflow to pause for a moment, and the speed of recovery slowed down by more than half. At the same time, in the vast starry sky, esteemed Zhu Zhao, Sword Master Baiheng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, Sword Master Firmament, Sword Master Yuing, and the others rushed over as fast as they could. They shuttled through the void, trying to rush out of the chaos realm before it closed. But, among the 5 of them, except for esteemed Zhu Zhao, who had broken through to the void transformation realm, the others were obviously slower. When esteemed Zhu Zhao arrived at the gap, Sword Master Baiheng, Sword Master Firmament, and the others were only halfway there, but the chaos realm in front of them was about to be sealed by the energy of Chaos Holy Man. Especially, in the vast starry sky of the primal chaos realm, an elegant figure suddenly appeared. This figure was wearing a grayish-black Taoist robe, and his aura was extraordinary and majestic. There was a kind of lofty aura on his face, as if he was the ruler of all living things. Seeing this figure, Sword Master Qingying, Sword Master Xingyi, and Sword Master Pingguang, who were outside the Chaos Realm, could not help but cry out in horror, "Chaos Holy Man, Chaos Holy Man, it's Chaos Holy Man." Chaos Holy Man? Didn't they say that Chaos Holy Man has already turned into the Chaos Realm? How can he exist independently of the Chaos Realm? Xing Hui was a little confused. This Chaos Holy Man did not attack esteemed Zhu Zhao. Instead, he clenched his fist, and the billowing power of the Chaos Realm suddenly surged from all directions, quickly entangling Sword Master Bai Heng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, Sword Master Yu Ying, and Sword Master Firmament No. To be exact, he wanted to entangle Sword Master Bai Heng. Obviously, in the eyes of Chaos Holy Man, the biggest threat among the 5 divine sages was Sword Master Bai Heng, who had cultivated for only a few hundred years and was close to the battle strength of an ultimate expert. The others were tolerable. Alas! Master Zhu Zhao glanced at Master Tsang, Sword Master Bai Heng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, Sword Master Yu Ying, and so on behind him before looking at Qing Su, Sword Master Pingguang, Sword Master Shadow Bearing, and Sword Master Xingyi, who were worried outside the Chaos Origin world. In the end, he could only sigh. This is a clone of the Chaos Holy Man. The Chaos Holy Man's cloning technique has reached the 10th level, so he can create a clone. If I leave the Chaos Origin world, Master Tsang, Sword Master Bai Heng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Master Yu Ying will definitely be slain by the Chaos Holy Man one by one. Only with me here can I keep the Chaos Holy Man busy so that you can do whatever you want outside. After he finished speaking, he could have stepped out of the chaotic primordial realm, but instead he turned around. Accompanied by a loud dragon roar that shook the void, he summoned a powerful Abhijna and attacked the avatar of the Chaos Holy Man Buzz. As Master Zhu Zhao left, the chaotic realm of origin that had been torn apart by the 9 people was finally filled by the surging grayish-black airflow from all directions. Before long, the area was completely filled. The chaotic primordial realm was sealed once again. It's over. Seeing this, Sword Master Xingyi's eyes flashed with pain. Damn it. The gap we've torn is too small. It's so small that the chaotic primordial realm will seal itself within a breath's time. It's not enough for Master Zhu Zhao and the others to leave the chaotic primordial realm quickly. The Chaos Holy Man is someone who has raised his avatar technique to the 10th level. He has an avatar in his chaotic primordial realm. This is troublesome. Even with Master Zhu Zhao around, their strength will still be depleted much faster than we expected under the interference of the Chaos Holy Man's avatar. If we can't tear the chaotic primordial realm apart and rescue them in 3 months, or at most half a year, they'll be exhausted to death by the Chaos Holy Man. Sword Master Pingguang's expression was grave. The Baihong Sword sect had 2 divine sages trapped inside. One Sword Master Bai Heng and Sword Master Long Rainbow died. He would be the only one left in the Baihong Sword sect. Based on his lifespan, he could only live for 100 or 200 years at most. If the Baihong Sword sect did not produce any divine sages in these 200 years, the entire sect would decline. Fortunately, the Rainbow Sword Master stood his ground against all opposition and allowed this supreme expert, Qing Su, to become the 4th Sword Master of their Rainbow Sword sect, even if it was just an honorary one. No. Once he returned, he would immediately make Qing Su the actual Sword Master of the Fogbow Sword sect, binding him to the sect completely. Once he passed away, the Fogbow Sword sect would probably have to rely on the support of a supreme expert like the Qing Su Sword Master. 3 months. Sword Master Xingyi, Sword Master Shadow Bearing, Sword Master Xingyi, and even True God Only True God, who had just joined the 4-sect alliance, were all solemn. Although the 9 of them had indeed torn the chaotic primordial realm apart with the help of the Heavenly Cave Divine Stone, but the time was too short. If the time could be doubled, there's only one way now. Xing Hui said in a heavy tone, "We need to collect and purchase as many Heavenly Cave Divine Stones as possible. Everyone has already seen the situation earlier. In actual fact, as long as we extend the time of the crack of the chaotic primordial realm by 2 times, we will be able to wait for Master Zhu Zhao, Master Tsang, Sword Master Bai Heng, Sword Master Long Rainbow, and Sword Master Yu Ying to rush out. Hence, we need Heavenly Cave Divine Stones. 27 Heavenly Cave Divine Stones. After the chaotic primordial realm was torn, it would be equivalent to leaving a gap. It would take a lot of energy to repair it. The price of the Paradise Divine Stone isn't that high. It's usually around 50 to 60 Taoist rhymes. Even 27 Paradise Divine Stones would only be around 1,500 Taoist rhymes. We can easily gather 1,500 Taoist rhymes. Therefore, the most important thing now is the channel. Let's return immediately and activate our intelligence network to buy as many Paradise Divine Stones as we can. Don't limit the number to 27, 30, 35, or even 40 Paradise Divine Stones. We'll try our best to get them if we can. Sword Master Pengguang said. We'll go and purchase them now. Let's split up. It's best if we can gather at least 27 Heavenly Cave Divine Stones within 3 months. Everyone agreed. Xing Hui even said, I'll take care of the Divine Path sect and Heavenly Dao. If they dare to send any divine sages out alone, I'll let them know the price they have to pay. All right. With Sword Master Xing Hui around, we can rest easy. We'll leave the Divine Path sect and Heavenly Dao to you, Sword Master Xing Hui. The Rainbow Sword sect, Black Flame Cult, and Sword Shadow all expressed their opinions. Immediately, everyone returned to the Rainbow Sword sect. After recuperating in the Rainbow Sword sect for a while, they quickly scattered and used their fastest speed to inquire about the whereabouts of the Heavenly Cave Divine Stones. The Heavenly Cave Divine Stones were useless to cultivators below the Divine Realm. If they wanted to purchase them, they could only do so from the Divine Realm powerhouses. Many divine sages were worried that they would one day fall into a spatial mezzanine. When that happened, they could only rely on the Heavenly Cave Divine Stones to tear through the void and return to the Divine Wilderness. Hence, most people would keep some Heavenly Cave Divine Stones with them. And according to the calculations of the Divine Wilderness's divine sage experts, as long as they were willing to spend a Dao vessel item, it would not be difficult to purchase 27 Heavenly Cave Divine Stones. However, Xing Hui soon realized that they had underestimated the situation when they received news from the various large factions. The news of the 9 great sages wanting to use the Heavenly Cave Divine Stones to tear the primal chaos primordial world had long been known by the Heavenly Dao. It was impossible for the Heavenly Dao's primordial chaos primordial world to be unprepared. While Xing Hui and the rest were focusing their efforts on the primal chaos primordial world, the Heavenly Dao and Divine Path sect had secretly sent people to purchase the Heavenly Cave Divine Stones from various merchant associations and divine sages at the price of 80 Dao charms per stone. Currently, the number of Heavenly Cave Divine Stones in the outside world had dropped to a frightening number. Relying on special channels and friendship, Shadow Sword, Black Flame Sect, Sky Dome Sect, and Rainbow Sword Sect spent half a day to purchase 6 Grotto Heaven Divine Stones. However, by the time they had purchased all the Grotto Heaven Divine Stones from their friends, the price of the remaining Grotto Heaven Divine Stones had shot up to 150 Taoist rhymes and above. Someone had even offered 200 Taoist rhymes for a Grotto Heaven Divine Stone. With 150 Dao charms per stone, there were still 21 Heavenly Cave Divine Stones empty. In other words, the 4-sect alliance would have to spend at least 3,000 Dao charms on these 13 Heavenly Cave Divine Stones. Moreover, this was an ideal price. As time went on, the sages would definitely raise the price even more. When the time came, it was not impossible to spend 200, 250 Dao charms or even 300 Dao charms to purchase 1 Heavenly Cave Divine Stone. When Xing Hui plundered the Black Flame Cult, 1,500 Dao charms was equivalent to squandering all of the Black Flame Cult's Dao charms. However, most of these Dao charms were spent by Xing Hui on himself. Sky Dome's Dao charms were not abundant either. Back then, in order to purchase the originator for esteemed Zhu Zhao, 1,500 Dao charms worth of Dao charms were invested in it. Moreover, most of the Dao charms in Sky Dome were with esteemed Zhu Zhao. It would take some time for them to gather all the Dao charms. Most importantly, even if they managed to gather enough Dao charms and bought all the Heavenly Cave Divine Stones on the market at the price of 200 Dao charms for one Heavenly Cave Divine Stone, it was still a problem whether they could gather all 27 Heavenly Cave Divine Stones in the end. Damn it, the Heavenly Dao and Divine Dao sect actually came up with such a drastic plan. According to our calculations, there are at least 30 Heavenly Cave Divine Stones in the Heavenly Dao. Since each sage has one Heavenly Cave Divine Stone, there should not be more than 80 Heavenly Cave Divine Stones on the market. We have already used 9 of them, and the Heavenly Dao has taken 30 of them. There are less than half of the Heavenly Cave Divine Stones left on the market. We have to buy at least 27 of these 40 Heavenly Cave Divine Stones. Especially when the sages know that we urgently need Heavenly Cave Divine Stones. In Tsing Hui's personal space in the Chaos Divine Palace, the representatives of the 4 sect alliances gathered once again. The one who looked furious was Sword Master Xingyi of Sword Shadow. An astronomical number. In the end, the 4 sect alliances would have to spend an astronomical number of Dao charms. This is still not the worst-case scenario. Venerable Master Tsongzhen, who represented Sky Dome, said in a deep voice, "The worst-case scenario is that if we really pay a huge price to gather all the Heavenly Cave Divine Stones, the Dao charms in our respective sects will definitely be used up. What if the Heavenly Dao or Divine Dao sect chooses to start a primal chaos war with us at this time? How are we going to defend ourselves when our Dao charms are exhausted?" A primal chaos war. These 4 words made the representatives of the 4 great sects shiver in fear. That's right, if the Heavenly Dao or Divine Dao sect took advantage of the fact that their Dao charms were exhausted and started a primal chaos war with them, how would they deal with it? Chapter 682. The meeting in the Chaos Temple didn't yield any results. Everyone could only think of ways to buy as many Grotto Heaven stones as possible at the best price. At the same time, those who had reached the 29th level tried to reach the 30th level as soon as possible to see if they could buy Grotto Heaven stones from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. However, it wasn't easy for the Chaos Treasure Pavilion to update items, and the chances of finding a Grotto Heaven stone were even lower. Everyone could only do their best and leave the rest to fate. The White Rainbow Sword Sect. Tsing Hui stood on a boulder and looked in the direction of the Karma Peak, deep in thought. Saint Realm. I wonder if I'll be able to tear apart the Chaos Primordial Realm with the help of the Divine Art once I break through to the Saint Realm. Tsing Hui weighed the pros and cons in his mind. Soon, he came to a regrettable conclusion. Even if he broke through to the Saint Realm and used the Divine Art to amplify his power, his attack wouldn't be able to reach the level of the 9 Saints' attack with Grotto Heaven stones. Moreover, domain? He had no idea how to condense the origin of a domain and step into the Saint Realm. Hidden Sword Venerable had only created the first and second step of the Ultimate Sword Dao. Now, his understanding of the Ultimate Sword Dao had already surpassed Hidden Sword Venerable's. As for what he wanted to do in the future, it was all up to him. A domain requires the combination of sword force, law understanding, and innate charm. I already have sword force, but innate charm. It's not like I can't get it. I'll just go overseas and see if I can kill a divine beast. The key lies in the laws of heaven and earth. Ordinary saints rely on the innate gifts of divine beasts to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. They create divine beast souls that are similar to divine beasts and saint beasts, and can resonate with the corresponding laws. As for me, I've already given up on the bloodline of divine beasts, so it'll be extremely difficult for me to cultivate the laws of heaven and earth. This can be seen from the fact that the infinite Tao fruit that can perfect one's laws only allowed me to barely touch the laws of heaven and earth. Am I really going to have to skip the domain realm and unravel realm? Tsing Hui had used the divine art to launch a vacuum-shattering attack before, but that wasn't the same as a true vacuum-shattering attack. A true vacuum-shattering expert was a perfect combination of power and law, while he was purely destructive. Tsing Hui. Just as Qing Su was racking his brains and coming up with a plan to save Master Zhu Zhao, Master Sky, and the others, the Hidden Sword Venerable appeared behind him. Sword Sovereign. Sing Hui nodded slightly when he saw Hidden Sword Venerable. He still had a certain level of respect for this Almighty who had selflessly imparted the ultimate sword Dao to him. Have you thought of a way to save Master Zhu Zhao, Master Tianqiong, and the others? Hidden Sword Venerable said. It's not that simple. The Chaos Holy Man is famous for his Chaos Realm. When he was in the Divine Realm, he trapped 14 Divine Realm experts for a day. Now that he has broken through to the profound Void Realm, his Chaos Realm has become even more powerful. If we want to break it, we won't have any hope unless several void-shattering realm experts take action. Sing Hui said with a wry smile. Is there no hope? Hidden Sword Venerable fell silent, as if he was thinking about something. After a while, he slowly said, if you really don't have any other way to tear the Chaos Realm apart, why don't you come with me to the Hidden Sword Sect? Maybe you can find a way to tear the Chaos Realm apart there. Hidden Sword Sect? Sing Hui was slightly stunned. In front of them, they were facing a problem that even Sky Vault, Rainbow Sword Sect, Sword Shadow, Black Flame Cult, these top behemoths of the Divine Wilderness were helpless against. Several Sage Realm experts and even the strongest experts of the Sage Realm were helpless. What could the Hidden Sword Sect do to help? I'm not sure, but if you really can't find any other way, you can try going to the Hidden Sword Sect. Hidden Sword Venerable said. Sing Hui looked at Hidden Sword Venerable in front of him and was silent for a while before he slowly said, Hidden Sword Venerable, can you tell me the reason? The reason? Hidden Sword Venerable looked at Sing Hui. After all these years of experience, he had enough trust in Sing Hui. Otherwise, he wouldn't have handed over the entire Hidden Sword Sect to him. Now that things had come to this, there was nothing wrong with telling Sing Hui about this. Do you know of an ancient rumor about the Hidden Sword Sect? An ancient rumor about the Hidden Sword Sect? Qing Su was just about to say that the Hidden Sword Sect was a sect completely founded by the Sword Venerable of the Hidden Sword, but in the next moment he seemed to think of something and his breathing stagnated slightly. Are you talking about the ancient sword that has always been circulating in the Hidden Sword Sect? 7-star Dragon Abyss Sword? But didn't you tell me that the ancient godly sword doesn't exist in the Hidden Sword Sect? Hidden Sword Venerable nodded, then shook his head. I don't know if the ancient godly sword exists in the Hidden Sword Sect, but maybe there really is an ancient godly sword hidden in the Hidden Sword Sect's base. Sing Hui suddenly understood something. You mean, the ancient godly sword doesn't belong to the Hidden Sword Sect? Hidden Sword Venerable shook his head. The Hidden Sword Sect was built by me, so logically speaking, I should know the Hidden Sword Sect like the back of my hand. But in reality, there is a mysterious place in the Hidden Sword Sect that I can't control, and that is the Myriad Swords Peak. Myriad Swords Peak? Sing Hui thought of the many ancient sword spirits on the Myriad Swords Peak, and a thought flashed through his mind. Myriad Swords Peak. That's right, there are many sword spirits on the Myriad Swords Peak. Which one of them didn't have tens of thousands of years of history? Hidden Sword Sect had only been built for 1,000 years, and even Hidden Sword Venerable had only lived for a few thousand years. How could the sword spirits on the Myriad Swords Peak be brought to the Hidden Sword Sect because of the Hidden Sword Sect's establishment? They were clearly in the Myriad Swords Peak long ago, but no one paid attention to them. There are a large number of divine swords and sword spirits on the Wanjian Peak. However, people are short-sighted. In their eyes, those sword spirits that are only in the Awakening Realm, True Qi Realm, and Spirit Refining Realm are of no use. Rather than spending time on subduing those treasured swords that contain sword spirits, they might as well nurture a few prominent divine experts. Thus, the Wanjian Peak has never been seen as important by anyone, until Hidden Sword Venerable's eyes flashed with a trace of reminiscence. Until I passed by the Myriad Swords Peak. Passed by the Myriad Swords Peak, that's right. At that time, I was only at the Golden Core stage and had yet to step into the Transcendent stage and become an Almighty. However, at that time, I was rather curious about the Myriad Swords Peak and wanted to find out the secrets it contained. In the end, I naturally gained nothing. At that time, I was extremely arrogant. Even though I knew that the Myriad Sword's peak was mysterious, I still couldn't figure out what was wrong with the Myriad Sword's peak. Therefore, I wanted to destroy the Myriad Sword's peak. Destroy the Myriad Sword's peak? Xing Hui was startled. It was not an easy task for a Golden Core Realm cultivator to destroy the Myriad Sword's peak. Moreover, just because of a rumor that had not been verified, he wanted to destroy a mountain. How senseless was that? It was like a mortal emperor who heard that there were traces of immortals on a mountain. Because he could not find the real immortal, he ordered his army to raze the mountain to the ground. The probability of such a thing happening was too low. Because of this thought of mine, my life changed. Hidden Sword Venerable's eyes were filled with fear. Hidden Sword Saint's eyes were filled with indescribable fear as he continued. When I gathered my power and destroyed a small part of the Myriad Sword Peak, I felt like I had triggered something. I couldn't even describe it with words. It was an indescribable fear. It was like a small mortal watching a real sun fall from the sky. The suffocating desperation almost made it hard for me to breathe. Hidden Sword Venerable could not help but shudder after he finished speaking. The fear of the unknown. It was also because of the baptism of this unknown fear that I used my own willpower to overcome this fear that my spirit underwent a metamorphosis. In the end, I was able to step into the realm of Almighty. However, although my willpower overcame my fear of a certain terrifying existence within the Myriad Sword's peak, it could only make me feel less afraid. As for continuing to destroy the Myriad Sword's peak or having any other thoughts about it, I would never dare to do so. Hidden Sword Venerable let out a long sigh. Later on, I slowly studied the Myriad Sword Peak and slowly experienced the fear that came from the Myriad Sword Peak. Gradually, I understood something. The fear that came from the Myriad Sword Peak was a sword intent. It was not the sword intent of the sword itself, but the sword intent of the sword spirit of the godly sword. Perhaps the sword spirit's power was limited, but its nature was shocking, or perhaps the sword spirit didn't want to kill me. Anyway, I set up the Hidden Sword sect beside the Hidden Sword Peak and survived for so many years. At the same time, I tried my best to get the approval of the sword spirit. Xing Hui understood. So you changed your cultivation to the ultimate sword Dao? Hidden Sword Venerable nodded. All these years, no matter what I did, that sword intent, or the mysterious sword spirit behind that sword intent, never removed its hostility towards me. Thus, I didn't dare to have any thoughts of using force against the Myriad Sword's Peak. Instead, I sent one disciple after another to explore the Myriad Sword's Peak, hoping that those disciples with overflowing talent would be able to obtain the recognition of that mysterious will and allow me to see the true face of that mysterious will. But, without exception, I failed. Sword Venerate Hidden Sword paused for a moment before looking at Qing Su, until you appeared. Xing Hui's heart skipped a beat. Yes, you appeared. The moment you obtained the Hymn of 100 Swords, I once again sensed the existence of that mysterious and mighty will. It was so ancient, so profound, so vast. Even though I don't know why it hasn't appeared yet, I know that it has acknowledged you. Chapter 683. Yes, your appearance. The moment you obtained the Hymn of 100 Swords, I once again sensed the existence of that mysterious and mighty will. It was so ancient, so profound, so vast. Even though I don't know why it hasn't appeared yet, I know that it has acknowledged you. The Sword Venerable of the Hidden Sword said heavily. His gaze towards Qing Su was filled with a sliver of envy and loneliness. He envied Xing Hui for having such an opportunity and felt disappointed that he had not been acknowledged by the Great Will for so many years. Xing Hui was silent. That day, he was so immersed in the understanding and joy of the sword principle that he did not feel the changes in the outside world. Even the Hymn of the 100 Swords was triggered subconsciously. Therefore, he did not feel the mysterious and great will that Hidden Sword Honorable mentioned. It is because the mysterious and great will acknowledged you that I know that with such a great being behind you, your future will be limitless. Therefore, I have given you all kinds of support, Taoist rhymes, divine weapons, anything you want. Hidden Sword Venerable let out a bitter laugh. All of this is just my personal investment. The only thing that I find strange is that I don't know why that mysterious and great will didn't contact you after that. Qing Su finally understood why the Hidden Sword Venerable valued him so much, even going as far as to make him the second great elder of the Hidden Sword sect so that they could rule the Hidden Sword sect together. All of this was actually because of that mysterious and great will. Hidden Sword Honorable knew how great and terrifying the will was. Naturally, he also knew that after being acknowledged by the will, he would have a bright future. Therefore, he gave him all kinds of support. You don't have to feel guilty, Hidden Sword Honorable. No matter what the reason is, no matter when or where, I will always remember it. Xing Hui said confidently. The Hidden Sword Venerable nodded before looking at Qing Su. He suggested seriously, if you really don't have any ideas right now, I suggest you go to the Hidden Sword sect. If you can enter that wondrous state again and obtain the recognition of that great and mysterious will, I believe that under the guidance of that great and mysterious will, you will definitely enter a brand new world that has never been seen before. Enter that mysterious state. Xing Hui nodded. Although he did not know if he could enter that mysterious state again, if what Hidden Sword Honorable said was true, that the Great Will or the Great Sword Spirit was able to make Hidden Sword Honorable, who was already a powerful being, tremble from his soul, then this Great Will or the Great Sword Spirit must be unbelievably powerful. If he could gain its acknowledgement and borrow its power, he might be able to tear open the chaotic origin realm of the Chaos Holy Man and rescue Firmament Master, Master Zhu Zhao, Sword Master Bai Heng, Sword Master Rainbow and Sword Master Shadow. I will go to the Hidden Sword sect now. However, it's best that you make some arrangements here. After all, it will take some time for you to regain the recognition of the mysterious will. Even if the mysterious will passes on some powerful secret technique to you, you will still need time to cultivate it. As such, it won't be a short trip. I understand. Qing Su glanced at his chaotic level. Due to the fact that only a day had passed, his chaotic level remained at the 65th level. It had yet to fall. This meant that the dimensional lock could still be used. Before heading to the Hidden Sword sect, in order to prevent the Heavenly Dao sect and the Divine Dao sect from playing any tricks during this period of time, I have to make a trip to the Divine Dao sect and the Heavenly Dao sect again and properly make them behave. After Xing Hui finished speaking, he turned to Hidden Sword Honorable and said, Sword Honorable, please take a rest. After a day or two, I will go to the Hidden Sword sect with you. Yes, your matters here are more important. After all, everything I said was based on speculation. Whether you can find a way to tear open the chaotic origin realm in the Myriad Swords Peak is still unknown. Therefore, it is better for you to arrange everything before you go to the Myriad Swords Peak of the Hidden Sword sect. Xing Hui nodded. After bidding farewell to Hidden Sword Honorable, he quickly went to Sword Honorable Pengguang's courtyard. All along, Sword Honorable Pengguang had been in charge of the major matters of the Rainbow Sword sect. As the sect leader, Sword Honorable Pengguang was in charge of the minor matters. After all, Sword Honorable Pengguang was already old and had dedicated his life to the Rainbow Sword sect. As juniors, they did not want to make Sword Honorable Pengguang too tired. However, Sword Honorable Pengguang and Sword Honorable Bai Heng had been trapped in the chaotic origin realm by the Chaos Holy Man. The battlefield in the chaotic origin realm was only 6,000 kilometers away from the Rainbow Sword sect. Under such circumstances, if Sword Honorable Pengguang did not come out to take charge, no one in the Rainbow Sword sect would be able to control the situation. Therefore, even if he was tired and old, Sword Honorable Pengguang had to overcome the difficulties and deal with the matters that concerned the survival of the Rainbow Sword sect every day. Sword Honorable Pengguang. Xing Hui did not encounter any obstacles along the way and went straight to Sword Honorable Pengguang's study. Seeing Xing Hui's arrival, Sword Honorable Pengguang immediately put down what he was doing and said enthusiastically, Sword Honorable Xing Hui, you're here. Take a seat. Someone, bring me my soul-consolidating tea. Let me treat Sword Honorable Xing Hui to a good taste. The latter part of his sentence was naturally directed at a golden core disciple who was waiting on him. "You're welcome." Xing Hui was pressed for time. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, he went straight to the point. "Sword Honorable Pengguang, I want to know the specific whereabouts of the Divine Path sect and the Heavenly Way." The specific whereabouts of the Divine Path sect and the Heavenly Way sect? Sword Honorable Pengguang pondered for a moment before shaking his head. "As we have two supreme experts on our side, with you having exceptional combat strength and Sword Honorable Shadow bearing being adept at assassination, the Divine Path sect and the Divine Path sect's Divine Path sect are all hiding in the Divine Path sect or the Heavenly Way. The Divine Path sect has a Tier 13 protective array that is impregnable. As for the Heavenly Way, there's no need to mention it. A Tier 15 array is a death zone that is unique in our divine wilderness. Even if an invincible existence that can shatter the vacuum forcefully barges in, they would be ground to smithereens by the power of the protective array. Therefore, if Sword Honorable Xing Hui has any other ideas, it's probably unrealistic for you to kill the Divine Path sect and the Divine Path sect's Divine Path sect." When Xing Hui heard this, he could not help but turn silent. Moments later, he seemed to think of something. If the Heavenly Way and the Divine Path sect can't do anything, then what about the Grand Supreme? I remember that the Grand Supreme is also secretly controlled by the Heavenly Way. How about dealing with the Grand Supreme and weakening the Heavenly Way's influence? The Grand Supreme? Upon hearing Xing Hui's words, the Sword Master of Pengguang's eyes lit up. The Grand Supreme has a total of 4 great saints, and the strongest of them is the Heavenly Lord of Mercilessness. Apart from him, the others are the Heavenly Lord of Law Extermination, the Heavenly Lord of Absolute Desire, and the Heavenly Lord of Forgetfulness. Among the 3 Heavenly Lords, the Heavenly Lord of Law Extermination belongs to the second category, but he should be the weakest of the second category. Back then, the Heavenly Lord of Forgetfulness fought with him and defeated him in just a few dozen rounds. The remaining Heavenly Lord of Absolute Desire and the Heavenly Lord of Forgetfulness belong to the ordinary Heavenly Lords. Among these few Heavenly Lords, the Heavenly Lord of Law Extermination and the Heavenly Lord of Forgetfulness are rather close to the Heavenly Way, but they have yet to completely submit to the Heavenly Way. The Heavenly Lord of Forgetfulness does not care about worldly affairs and maintains a neutral stance. If you want to deal with the Grand Supreme, I'm afraid that the Grand Supreme will completely change his stance and join the Heavenly Way. Forcing the Grand Supreme to completely change his stance and join the Heavenly Way is one possibility. The other possibility is that they will cut off all ties with the Heavenly Way, which is equivalent to us cutting off an arm of the Heavenly Way. Xing Hui said confidently, "Should we first attack the Grand Supreme's Tao Lord of Sacrificial Jade, Tao Lord of Blood Ink, and Tao Lord of Primordial Origin as a warning? Among the 24 core members of the Grand Supreme, only these 3, as well as the Heavenly Lord of Mercilessness, have clearly submitted to the Heavenly Way. Furthermore, the Grand Supreme himself is close to the Heavenly Way and has tacitly agreed to this behavior." Close? I don't think so. It should be fear. I don't believe that when the Grand Supreme's members and the Heavenly Way's members have a conflict over resources, the Heavenly Lord of Mercilessness, Tao Lord of Sacrificial Jade, Tao Lord of Blood Ink, and Tao Lord of Primordial Origin are clearly biased towards the Heavenly Way and disregard the interests of the Grand Supreme's members to curry favor with the Heavenly Way. 18 years ago, there was a Tao Lord of Peaceful Earth in the Grand Supreme who had a conflict with the Heavenly Way because of his disciple. In the end, Tao Lord of Blood Ink sided with the Heavenly Way's members and caused a huge commotion. In the end, Tao Lord of Blood Ink was defeated in a huge battle. Unfortunately, the Heavenly Way's reputation was at its peak at that time and this joke dissipated in less than a year. Sword Master Pengguang said, "Apart from Tao Lord of Peaceful Earth's encounter, there seemed to be many similar incidents. In short, the Grand Supreme's members would either avoid the Heavenly Way's members or try to curry favor with them. Anyone who goes against them will not have a good ending. That's enough to prove that the Grand Supreme's resentment has accumulated. I only need to head to the Grand Supreme and ignite this resentment." When Qing Su said that, he had already made his decision. "Give me the Grand Elder's detailed information." Then he seemed to have thought of something. Do you have a way to contact that Tao Lord of Peaceful Earth? I don't have it, but I can gather it by asking around. After all, we're now in the 4-sect alliance and the 4 factions have already shared information. We don't have it, but they definitely have it. Swordmaster Tsing Hui, do you plan to start with Tao Lord of Peaceful Earth? Let's see if he's willing to cooperate and if he's a promising talent. Tsing Hui said. Sword Master Pugwang nodded. Soon, Sword Master Pugwang had gathered all the information on the Grand Supreme, including the way to contact Tao Lord of Peaceful Earth. I'll take a look as I go. First, I'll get rid of the Grand Supreme and make the Heavenly Way behave. Of course, if the Grand Supreme's people ask the Heavenly Way for help, it'll be even better if the Heavenly Way's members can come out. With that, Ching Su was about to take off on his sword and leave. However, before he could head to the Grand Supreme alone, Master Tsangzhen's voice came from the Chaos Temple. When Tsing Hui saw Master Tsangzhen in the Chaos Temple, Master Tsangzhen's face lit up with joy. He said impatiently, "It's solved. It's solved. Tsing Hui, we solved that chess game." Chapter 684. It's been solved? The chess game? Tsing Hui was slightly taken aback. He did not immediately understand what Master Tsangzhen was talking about, but very quickly he seemed to have realized something. His eyes suddenly widened. Chess game? Master, are you talking about the chess game outside the cave of the Supreme Existence suspected to have created a world with a single thought? Yes, that's the chess game. Master Tsangzhen's eyes were filled with uncontrollable joy, and he even lost himself to joy. After so many years, it's finally been solved. If Master Tsangqiong and Master Zhu Zhao were here, they would definitely be pleasantly surprised. This is the cave of a supreme existence who had created a world with a single thought. Back then, the reason why Heavenly Tao, Divine Wilderness and Eternal were able to leave the other forces behind them so quickly, and even had the ability to clear out the area, was mainly because they had excavated the cave of a supreme existence with a single thought. And now, this opportunity has finally come to our Heaven Tao. Ching Su felt happy from the bottom of his heart. Even though there was a great sword spirit in the hidden sword sect, whether it was entering that mysterious state again or obtaining help from that sword spirit, Tsing Hui did not have the slightest bit of confidence. If he had gone to the hidden sword sect, it could only be said to be a gamble of luck. How could it be like now, excavating the cave of a supreme existence who had created a world with a single thought so easily and delightfully? Tsing Hui did not know whether or not there was an invincible legend in the primal chaos realm in the Divine Wilderness era, but there was evidence of a world with a single thought. And even in that era, every single person who had created a world with a single thought had a status that was comparable to the giants of the Saint Realm, or even higher. Excavating the cave abode of a boundary realm expert with a thought was equivalent to excavating a sacred cave abode for vision domain and true energy realm cultivators. Even if the owner of the cave abode casually left something behind for them, it was enough to increase their cultivation and combat power by a whole realm. Just like in the battle to destroy the Divine Ghost Sect, Tsing Hui did not put the Divine Ghost Sect's level 8, level 9, and even level 10 divine weapons in his eyes. However, if these divine weapons were in the hands of prominent divine realm and true element boundary experts, they would definitely be able to surpass levels to fight. This chess game has been solved at the right time. If we can get enough powerful divine weapons, Grotto Heaven divine stones, and other items from the Grotto Heaven experts' Grotto Heaven, all our problems will be solved. Zhangzhen Shangren, do you have a way to get to the Grotto Heaven? Of course. Yuan Ri, Songqiong, and Zhu Zhao have spent a lot of effort on this cave dwelling. However, compared to Songqiong and Zhu Zhao, I have put a little less effort into it. However, I am well aware of the way to enter the cave dwelling. There are some dangerous places inside that can only be destroyed by saints. However, although we no longer have Songqiong and Zhu Zhao, we still have you. Therefore, we will definitely be able to open the cave dwelling and take all the treasures inside for ourselves. Then, we will be able to help Songqiong avoid danger. Zhangzhen Shangren said excitedly, Tsing Hui, where are you right now? Come over immediately. We will discuss the details of excavating this cave dwelling. All right, I will come over immediately. Xing Hui nodded seriously. In the end, he casually asked, "Who solved this chess game?" You may find it hard to believe, but it was a little girl called Jinyu. Jinyu? Xing Hui was slightly stunned. Wasn't this the daughter of the pavilion master of Miaoyu Pavilion? She had a good relationship with Nayland Fei. In the past, he had even made a series of transactions with Jinyu's group of close friends. Yes, it was Jinyu. Zhang Shangren said, some time ago, esteemed Zhu Zhao was critically ill. Firmament Master almost put all his hopes on that chessboard. He wanted to crack the mechanism contained in the chessboard and excavate the ancient cave dwelling, so as to solve the crisis that Firmament Master was facing. For this reason, he came up with a way, which was to modify the mysterious chessboard and mark the difficulties that he could not solve. Then he passed them down and let his disciples put up a reward. Anyone who could solve this chessboard would be rewarded handsomely. The result was obvious. Jinyu? I remember that she seems to have taken the path of luck. She is really lucky. That's right. Her chaos level has indeed increased her luck and appraisal skills. Over the years, she has encountered many obstacles. Not only has her cultivation reached the true energy realm, but her chaos level has also mysteriously increased to the 16th level. At the 16th level, she has already maxed out her luck. The rest, other than the basic personal space and other characteristics, is all invested in her appraisal skills. I'm even considering whether or not to bring her along when we excavate that cave. This is really worth considering. I just don't know whether she can be trusted. After all, this matter is too important. Zhang Shangren said. It's not easy to be a level 10 lucky person. Xing Hui sighed with emotion. Although the luck characteristic was quite extraordinary, it had almost no effect on the battle. Therefore, few people would choose to take this path. After all, most cultivators believed that their fate was in their own hands and not in the hands of the heavens. They entrusted their future to illusory luck and thus lost the will to forge ahead. Such people, even if they could obtain good resources in their cultivation, would inevitably have limited achievements in the future. In this case, even in the whole Firmament Master, it was not easy to find someone who had upgraded the luck characteristic to level 10. As for those who could be 100% trusted, they could be counted on one's fingers. After temporarily putting the matter of Grand Supreme aside, Xing Hui directly flew up on his sword. In less than 2 hours, he had already appeared in Firmament Master. Since the saints and Taoist masters of the Heavenly Tao had all holed up in the Divine Path sect and the Heavenly Tao, without the Heavenly Tao stirring up trouble outside, Firmament Master could be said to be calm during this period of time. As a result, the number of practitioners stationed in Firmament Master's encampment had increased significantly. When Xing Hui flew into Firmament Master's sword, his sword light immediately attracted the attention and cheers of countless people. It's Pak Hui Exalted Master. Pak Hui Exalted Master is back. It's not Pak Hui Exalted Master, it's Xing Hui Exalted Master. Xing Hui Exalted Master is our Firmament Master's new supreme expert. So far, there have been as many as 3 saint powerhouses who have fallen at the hands of Sword Master Xing Hui. Among them is even said to be outstanding in the saint realm, Lord of Heaven Merciless. His cultivation is unbelievably profound. I wonder if Exalted Xing Hui Exalted Master is recruiting disciples. If one can become a disciple of a supreme expert, his future will definitely be limitless. You want to become Exalted Xing Hui Exalted Master's disciple with your looks? All sorts of voices resounded in Firmament Master's ears. The whole Firmament Master seemed to be celebrating with his arrival. After all, Xing Hui's various experiences were too legendary and too dreamy for the people of Firmament Master. Xing Hui Exalted Master, look at how popular you are in Firmament Master now. I'm afraid no one would dare to be number 1 if you were to become number 2. Song Zhen Exalted Master looked at Xing Hui Exalted Master with a smile. Seeing Xing Hui Exalted Master was one reason for this smile, But more importantly, it was because they had finally found a way to rescue Exalted Master Zhuzhao Exalted Master. Moreover, if everything went smoothly, the whole Firmament Master would soar into the sky because of the excavation of this ancient cave mansion. It would completely grow into an existence that was not inferior to the heavenly Tao, the eternal realm, and the divine wilderness realm. It's all thanks to everyone's praise. Xing Hui Exalted Master followed Songjin Exalted Master to the inner courtyard. In the living room of this courtyard, apart from Songjin Exalted Master, only Yuanri Exalted Master, Yulan Exalted Master, Xian Huang Exalted Master, Wu Fa Exalted Master, and Purple Sky Exalted Master were waiting. The remaining people, Three Wonders Exalted Master and Lan Rue Sword Saint, who also had a high status, were not included. Xing Hui Exalted Master glanced at the crowd and was a little surprised. Just us. Songjin Exalted Master secretly transmitted his voice to Xing Hui Exalted Master. Only a few of us are absolutely trustworthy. Lan Rue Sword Saint, Three Wonders Exalted Master, Bai Qi, and the others have been in Firmament Master for much longer than I have. Songjin Exalted Master was speechless. Don't tell me you're asking why we trust you so much? In fact, based on the current situation, if it wasn't for you, Firmament Master would probably not have been able to hold on. Therefore, I really can't think of any reason why we don't trust you. Since you've contributed so much to Firmament Master, why can't you participate in the excavation of the ancient cave mansion? Xing Hui Exalted Master nodded and did not say anything. With his current status, if he wanted to rely on the divine wilderness or the eternal, these two forces would definitely welcome him with open arms and push his position to be second only to the Tai Emperor and Supreme Divinity Ancient Wilderness. However, Firmament Master had given him a lot of help before he grew up. Although this help was actually nothing to Zhuang Zhao Exalted Master and Songjin Exalted Master, Xing Hui Exalted Master had always remembered this in his heart. Even if the divine wilderness and the eternal really wanted to rope him in, he would not betray Firmament Master. This would not change until Firmament Master was completely destroyed. It's not good for too many people to know about this. Moreover, the sooner we act, the better, in case there are any unexpected changes. We've already prepared enough beforehand. See if there's anything else you need to prepare. If there's nothing else, we'll set off now and not stay for a moment. Of course I'm fine. Let's set off now. As Qing Su said that, he seemed to think of something. He paused slightly. However, the Venerable Master Tsongzhen and the Venerable Master Yuanri are already the pillars of Heaven's domain. If the two of you leave the Heaven's domain with me, you'll definitely raise the suspicions of others. As a result, if you trust me, I suggest you enter my personal space and tell me your destination. I'll directly take you to the dwelling. Master Tsongzhen and Master Yuanri Exalted Master looked at each other. Finally, Master Yuanri Exalted Master said in a deep voice, "Of course we trust you. Then we'll do as you say." The cave mansion is located at the Fissure Volcano. Fissure Volcano? Xing Hui Exalted Master frowned. That place is already the territory of the Four Stars Palace. Forget it, I'll restrain my aura. As long as I'm careful, even if I enter the territory of the Four Stars Palace, the people of the Four Stars Palace will not notice. We'll also enter your personal space, Xing Hui Exalted Master. Yulan Exalted Master suggested. Dark Phoenix, Immortal Wufa, and Immortal Purple Sky nodded. Well, don't resist. As Xing Hui Exalted Master spoke, he waved his hand and directly brought them all into his personal space. After bringing them into his personal space, he no longer hesitated. He directly flew up on his sword, rushed into the sky, and headed straight for the Fissure Volcano. Chapter 685. The Fissure Volcano. This was a dormant volcano that had been dormant for a long time. The last time it erupted was more than 1,000 years ago. However, due to the size of this volcano once it erupted, the volcanic clouds formed would cover the sky and cover the sun, spreading over tens of thousands of kilometers. Even though this volcano had been dormant for more than 1,000 years, It was still rare to see people within 1,000 kilometers of the volcano. In addition, the eruption of this volcano had caused a tremor in the earth veins, causing a huge fissure that was more than 1,000 kilometers long to appear beside the volcano. The depth of the fissure was immeasurable. It was said that a gold core elder of the Four Stars Palace once sneaked into the fissure for no reason, but got lost in the fissure. It took him a while to find the way out and return to the surface. However, since then no one dared to explore it. Of course, this was only a rumor. At least, Xinghui did not think that the Four Stars Palace would not investigate a large volcano and mysterious fissure that was less than 4,000 kilometers away from their sect. Perhaps the Gold Core Elder had returned because he got lost, but if a divine expert went to investigate, he would definitely be able to uncover all the secrets within. This was especially so for a top force like the Four Stars Palace, which had the 6 great divine experts. Xinghui operated the shadowless immortal technique and restrained his aura to the extreme. In addition, he deliberately lowered the speed of his flying sword and did not cause a series of sonic booms when he flew. Thus, no one noticed him along the way and he directly arrived outside the fissure volcano. When they arrived at the fissure volcano, Xinghui avoided the few transformative stage disciples of the Four Stars Palace who were guarding the periphery of the volcano and monitoring its movements. He released Master Songjin, Master Yuanri, Yulan, Reverend Purple Sky, and the others. "Follow me." Master Songjin looked around and did not say anything unnecessary. He quickly led Xinghui and the others into the large fissure that was more than 1,000 kilometers long outside the fissure volcano. They quickly went deeper. Not long after, they had already gone several hundred kilometers deep, and even the temperature around them rose a lot. Just as the rumors said, there was indeed a different world inside the fissure of the fissure volcano. The fissure above was narrow, but inside, it was extremely spacious. Moreover, as they went deeper underground, the surrounding terrain seemed to faintly form a natural formation. Under the formation, many places became grotesque and grotesque. "I didn't think that there would be such a huge formation below." Xinghui said, "If we don't have a formation grandmaster to lead the way, I'm afraid it won't be easy to explore this spirit array." "Array master?" Master Songjin sneered. "Do you think that Wu Lu of the Heavenly Tao hasn't come here to investigate?" But in the end he still didn't discover anything. He only treated this place as an ordinary natural spirit array. This spirit array requires a high-level spirit array master to open up the path, and at the crucial point, only those who don't understand spirit arrays can rely on their own intuition to find the final path. As soon as Master Songjin finished speaking, Yulan, who had come with the group, couldn't help but blush. Because she was the one who had pointed out the location of the cave residence at a critical moment. Master Songjin was referring to her as someone who didn't understand spirit arrays at all. Master Songjin seemed to have noticed Yulan's abnormality and suddenly burst into laughter. "Yulan girl, I'm not talking about you. On the contrary, if Zhu Zhao hadn't said that he would take you to broaden your horizons, we might not have been able to detect the location of this cave residence. Perhaps we would have ended up like the Four Stars Palace, the Heavenly Tao, and even those people from the Eternal and Divine Wilderness, only thinking that this is a natural spirit array. Because of a coincidence, how would we have been able to detect the location of the cave residence?" Xinghui couldn't help but ask, "Have the other forces sent people here to take a look?" "Of course, but this is the territory of the Four Stars Palace after all. Even if the Four Stars Palace didn't find anything here, such a natural spirit array naturally has to be investigated. Otherwise, if this is a trick of the Heavenly Tao, they will cry but have no tears." As Master Songjin spoke, he carefully identified the surrounding environment. A moment later, he turned in another direction, this way. Xinghui and the others hurriedly followed. The group of people kept shuttling back and forth below, flying for at least 3,000 kilometers. During this period, they changed directions countless times, and even Xinghui himself was a little dizzy. He was a little puzzled as to how Master Songjin had memorized the routes so clearly. Fortunately, after a full 4 hours, the group of people stopped in front of a huge rock. As the group went around the huge rock, a crack of less than 2 meters appeared in front of them. "It's here," Master Tsongzhen's tone was certain. This huge rock? Sing Hui's gaze fell on the huge rock in front of him, and a moment later, his gaze turned to the crack. The huge rock and the crack clearly existed here, but for some reason, there was a voice constantly reminding him that there was nothing here, and that he needed to turn around and explore other places. Moreover, this mental suggestion was quite strong. This made Sing Hui, whose mental strength had recently reached 143 and had undergone a round of tempering, extremely shocked. If he didn't know the destination was here, perhaps even if his mental strength was 10 levels higher, he might not stay here for long. It's really amazing. This kind of use of spiritual power is simply beyond our imagination. Moreover, if this is really the spiritual imprint left by the master who created a world with a thought, it's too terrifying. After tens of thousands of years, the suggestion effect of this spiritual power can still reach such a level. Sing Hui sighed with emotion. At that time, we also found this entrance by chance. Follow me. Master Tsongzhen said as he stepped into the crack. The entrance of the crack was very small, but the deeper they went, the bigger the space became. Moreover, they could faintly see the traces of artificial carvings. Judging from the position of the crack, it should be because of the passage of time or other reasons that caused the earth to shake and the crack to appear. This path should not be the real path to the cave mansion. It seemed that tens of thousands of years were enough to make any place change. Even the cave mansion of a master who created a world with a thought was no exception. The group walked for dozens of kilometers, and there were many obvious traces of destruction on the road. Obviously, these were the mechanisms that Master Zhu Zhao and the others destroyed last time. With Master Zhu Zhao and the others clearing the way last time, this time, the group was unimpeded and soon came to a huge underground space. On the opposite side of the space, there was a bronze gate more than 30 meters high. There was no keyhole on the bronze gate, but there was a chessboard carved on it, which was exactly the same as the one Sing Hui saw in Master Zhu Zhao and Master Tsongzhen's place. It's this chessboard that has made us helpless all these years. Master Tsongzhen sighed with emotion, and then stepped forward and quickly moved the chess pieces on the chessboard. Not long after, the chess pieces were put down, and Master Tsongzhen stepped back a little and said, "Be careful, everyone. The next part of the cave mansion is a place we have never been to before. We don't know what dangers there are. You need to be alert in case of any accidents." Sing Hui and the others immediately nodded. After the chessboard was solved, the huge bronze gate slowly opened with a roar, and a dim underground palace was revealed. This layout, based on the architectural style of 10,000 years ago, it should be in the front hall. However, as a great existence who could create a world with a single thought, the things in the front hall might be quite extraordinary. Everyone be careful and check it out. Don't miss any good things. Master Tsongzhen looked for a moment and said quickly. At that moment, everyone quickly spread out and carefully searched every corner. The architectural style of 10,000 years ago. Sing Hui looked at the front hall in front of him and some tables and sceneries placed in the front hall. He felt that the style of these things was somewhat familiar, but he couldn't tell why. Blue jade, this porcelain vase used for flower arrangement, is actually made of blue jade? This is the best material for setting up a spirit gathering array. Even if it's not used to set up an array, wearing it on the body will have a strong spirit gathering effect. It has an extremely extraordinary effect on cultivation and improving the body's condition. This is golden blue stone. The entire ground is actually paved with a layer of golden blue stone. The hardness of the golden blue stone itself is comparable to a level 12 divine weapon. If it can be refined, it won't be a problem for it to be used as the main material to refine a level 13 divine weapon. The water in this well seems to be blue sky water. This kind of water has immeasurable benefits for concentrating one's mind and calming one's qi, dispelling distracting thoughts. If anyone consumes this water before cultivating, they will be able to easily enter an extremely good cultivation state. The various almighty experts scattered to investigate. After a short while, there were already waves of exclamations, as if their horizons had been broadened. In reality, to an existence like world creation, who could be considered a big shot even in the boundless void, the almighty experts in the Saint Realm were indeed equivalent to some ordinary people. It was like a giant in the Saint Realm looking at cultivators in the green netherworld realm and the prominent divine realm. Even if a little of the things that they used leaked out, it would be enough to make these cultivators in the green netherworld realm and the prominent divine realm go wild with joy. Although these things are valuable, they definitely can't be considered the real collection of an existence who can create a world with a single thought. After putting away the things that can be easily taken away, we will continue to investigate inside. Master Tsongzhen looked for a moment and said in a deep voice, "I'm just afraid that the expert who can create a world with a single thought would put the important things in his personal space. No, in his own world." Master Purple Sky said, "The world of an existence who can create a world with a single thought is different from our personal space. The space of an expert who can create a world with a single thought is usually only 10,000 to 10,000 kilometers. It's not as endless as we imagine. In his world, he needs to accommodate living creatures, true origin, and also some strange things. He might not put those things that aren't valuable in his personal space, just like how a giant in the Saint Realm who has a level 5 or level 6 personal space wouldn't put those level 9 or level 10 ferocious beast corpses that occupy a large area in his personal space. These level 9 or level 10 items in the eyes of a Saint Realm expert would be level 13, level 14, or even level 15 existences in the hands of an expert who can create a world with a single thought. If we can find any of them, it would be extremely beneficial to us." As Master Tsongzhen spoke, he had already bypassed the front hall and cautiously came to a spacious open space at the back. This open space had a diameter of several dozen kilometers, and there were some precious sunstones embedded in it, illuminating the inside like a continent. In this open space, there were many decaying and withered plants. However, among all the decaying and withered plants, there was a fruit tree that looked like a divine dragon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was still tenaciously surviving, and it stood out in front of everyone. Seeing this dragon-shaped fruit tree that was still somewhat malnourished despite its existence, Master Yuan Ri was slightly stunned. Then he cried out involuntarily in shock, "Dragonization fruit tree? The dragonization fruit tree that cultivates the true body of a saint?" Chapter 686. The Dragonization Fruit Tree? Is it really the Dragonization Fruit Tree? It's such a precious plant, yet that existence who achieved world creation with a single thought didn't plant it in his personal space? Hearing Venerable Master Yuan Ri's exclamation, Venerable Master Tsongzhen immediately rushed forward. Venerable Purple Sky and Venerable Wu Fa, two almighty beings who had some understanding of the Dragonization Fruit Tree, also quickly followed. Did we find a treasure? Sing Hui had obviously never heard of this item before, but he still quickly went forward, arriving in front of the Dragonization Fruit Tree that had made Venerable Master Yuan Ri and Venerable Master Tsongzhen lose their composure. This Dragonization Fruit Tree wasn't very tall, and some parts of it even appeared a little withered and yellow, as if it was half dead. At this time, it bore fruits, but they were mainly greenish-yellow, like spoiled oranges. They didn't look like precious treasures of heaven and earth at all. At least, compared to the limitless Tao fruit that Sing Hui had previously consumed, it was far inferior. This Dragonization Fruit Tree should have only been a seedling when it was planted. Even the world creation expert who planted this Dragonization Fruit Tree didn't expect it to survive. It's because of this that it wasn't transplanted into the world of the world creation expert. It's a pity that although this cave can be considered quite good, it's been abandoned all these years. Without anyone to maintain it, the spirit chi environment inside has naturally fallen by a large amount. Even though this Dragonization Fruit Tree is extremely tyrannical in absorbing all the nutrients in this entire medicinal field, it still can't maintain its normal growth. As a result, it has now grown into an almost deformed existence, and the fruits it's forced to bear haven't reached the level of a true Dragonization fruit. Venerable Master Yuan Ri and Venerable Master Tsongzhen looked at this Dragonization Fruit Tree and couldn't help but lament its fate. It's fortunate that this dragonization fruit tree wasn't transplanted into the world of the world creation expert. Otherwise, it would have been difficult for us to obtain such a harvest today. Therefore, we shouldn't feel disappointed, but rather rejoice. Venerable Wu Fa, who had followed the two, said with a smile. Reverend Wu Fa is right. We should be rejoicing. Even though this draconification fruit tree has only produced 6 draconification fruits, and they cannot be said to be perfectly ripe, these 6 draconification fruits are enough to make our trip worthwhile. Master Tsongjin laughed heartily. He went forward and plucked the dragonization fruits one by one. Then he put them away with great care. What's so special about the dragonization fruit? Xinghui asked. The dragonization fruit is the most important resource for cultivating the divine true body. When Venerable Master Yuanri saw Venerable Master Tsongjin accept the dragon transformation fruit, he was in a good mood. When he heard Xinghui's question, he quickly explained, Xinghui, with your current strength, you can be said to be the strongest among the divine saints. You should have heard of the 4th step of the divine stage, the divine true body, right? Of course. Xinghui had heard Venerable Master Tsongqiong say before, this stage requires one to merge the soul of a divine beast with one's body. From there, one can transform into a divine beast or divine beast. Not only will one's battle strength soar, but one's lifespan will also be greatly extended. It's almost as if one's own divine beast or divine beast will have the same amount of lifespan. That's right. The divine true body indeed allows a cultivator to transform into a true divine beast. However, there are 2 difficulties for a cultivator to transform into a true divine beast. The first difficulty is similar to the golden core stage. It requires a sufficient amount of energy. The second difficulty is that after accumulating enough energy, the essence of one's life will undergo a transformation. Compared to divine beasts and divine beasts, the life level of us humans is still too weak. On the side, Venerable Master Tsongzhen, who had put away the dragonization fruit, also sighed with emotion. Not to mention those divine beasts that were born with the fortune of heaven and earth and the laws of nature, even some divine beasts have a higher life level than us humans. They also don't cultivate and rely on natural growth. Any mature divine beast has the ability to torture and kill humans. If it weren't for this divine beast bloodline cultivation system passed down from ancient times, not to mention conquering this vast territory and occupying the most prosperous heaven wasteland domain, I'm afraid that the threat brought by the divine beasts would be enough to completely destroy our human race. It's said that in ancient times, we humans were only food for these powerful creatures. A golden rock could devour a city of millions of humans in a day. Humans in that period lived in precarious situations and were at the bottom of the food chain. Their lives were filled with darkness, despair, and fear, unlike now. When Xinghui heard Venerable Master Tsongzhen and Venerable Master Yuanri's words, his gaze immediately fell on the dragonization fruit tree that had been completely plucked. Venerable Master, you mean that the dragonization fruit produced by this dragonization fruit tree can allow one to directly undergo a life shift when enough energy is accumulated, allowing one's life essence to rise to the level of a divine beast or even a divine beast? That's right. A creature that has completed the life shift is basically no different from a divine beast or a divine beast. Venerable Master Tsongzhen nodded heavily. However, after a moment, he said again, of course, in terms of life essence, a cultivator is actually at the level of a divine beast. Only after completing the first life shift in the awakening realm can one barely reach the level of a divine beast. Therefore, it's almost impossible to jump to the level of a divine beast in one go, even if one has the dragonization fruit. Tsongzhen, don't forget that Xinghui is a cultivator of a supreme divine ability. Without the dragonization fruit, if a cultivator wants to complete the life shift, they have to rely entirely on unearthing their own innate divine ability. Only by completely dissecting the divine ability to the extreme and tracing back to its origin can one touch the little bit of spiritual light that leaked out from the source and form an opportunity for a peak void-shattering expert to fuse their physical body and the soul of a divine beast to condense a divine true body, transforming into a divine beast and stepping into the fourth level of the divine realm. As a cultivator of a supreme divine ability, if Tsinghui can really trace back to the source of the supreme divine ability and obtain the spiritual light that leaked out from the source of the supreme divine ability, coupled with the mysterious power of the dragonization fruit, he can completely complete the life shift twice and transform into a true divine beast. Venerable Master Yuan Ri said with a smile. Right. I forgot that even with the dragonization fruit, a cultivator who cultivates an ordinary divine ability has less than 1% chance of condensing a divine beast true body. But if it's a cultivator of a supreme divine ability like you, Tsinghui, if you let your own accumulation reach the limit, trace back to the source of the supreme divine ability, and supplement it with the dragonization fruit, I'm afraid there's a 70 to 80% chance of condensing a divine beast true body. Trace back to the source of the supreme divine ability and find the opportunity for the life shift from the source? Tsinghui was a little stunned. Divine ability? He didn't seem to have studied his divine ability in depth at all. Not to mention dissecting all the mysteries of the divine ability and cultivating it to perfection. Moreover, the divine true body realm required the fusion of a divine beast's soul and physical body. His divine beast's soul had long been refined into the Scarlet Abyss Sword. Could it be transforming the Scarlet Abyss Sword into a divine beast true body? Tsinghui, move this dragonization fruit tree into your personal space and try to see if you can grow it. If you can grow it, you'll be sought after even in the endless starry sky. After all, the dragonization fruit has the mysterious ability to promote one's life essence by one level. And with the promotion of one's life essence, not only will one's lifespan be extended, the bottlenecks encountered when cultivating the body tempering technique will also be greatly reduced. Venerable Tsangzhen said, the dragonization fruit tree's requirements for the environment are too harsh. Growing it is too difficult. Moreover, using the dragonization fruit to extend one's lifespan and increase the potential of the body tempering technique is simply a reckless waste of natural resources. I remember that even if the dragonization fruit can extend one's lifespan, it can only extend one's lifespan by 1 or 2,000 years, right? As for the potential of the body tempering technique, what's the use of increasing it by 1 or 2 levels? Venerable Master Yuan Ri shook his head. Just because we can't grow this dragonization fruit tree doesn't mean that Tsinghui can't either. Tsinghui is an existence who can cultivate the sovereign golden core. Growing a dragonization fruit tree requires much more vitality than cultivating the sovereign golden core. I remember seeing a joke passed down from ancient times. A supreme existence of the reigning realm was unable to grow a dragonization fruit tree even after spending all his fortune. Under normal circumstances, a reigning realm expert is much richer than a great existence who can create a world with a thought. Venerable Master Yuan Ri said with a smile. The others deeply agreed with Venerable Master Yuan Ri's words, but Tsinghui's heart moved when he heard it. Perhaps he could really give it a try. At that moment, he stepped forward and quickly moved the dragonization fruit tree into his personal space. He directly planted it in a pile of spirit crystals, intending to see the effects first. A reigning realm expert is richer than a being who can create a world with a thought? I remember that in terms of battle prowess, a person who can create a world with a thought is many times stronger than a reigning realm expert. It is said that the gap between a reigning realm expert and a reigning realm expert is even greater than that between an almighty being and a golden core realm expert. How can there be a situation where a reigning realm expert is richer than a reigning realm expert? Yulan asked after hearing everyone's conversation. A world with a thought. For a divine realm expert, this is the strongest realm, but at the same time, it is also the weakest realm. Venerable Master Yuan Ri sighed with emotion. Spatial crystal stone? Tsinghui looked pensive. Venerable Master Yuan Ri nodded. A world with a thought is somewhat similar to the prominent divine realm. However, a prominent divine realm expert is unable to bear the burden of manifesting his battle physique, while a world with a thought is unable to bear the burden of his own world. Alright, let's talk about it later. Let's hurry inside and see if there are any other good things. Venerable Master Tsongzhen reminded everyone. At that moment, everyone stopped talking and maintained sufficient vigilance as they slowly explored the interior. After passing through the barren and empty medicinal field that had been devoured by the dragonization fruit tree, the group once again saw a huge palace. As they explored the palace one by one, they soon explored more than half of the cave. However, they found that most of the materials were materials, and most of them were 12th grade and 13th grade. There was a large amount of 14th grade materials. In addition, they also found 2 pill rooms. Unfortunately, with the passage of time, the many spirit pills and miraculous medicines in the pill rooms had almost all lost their effectiveness. If they rashly consumed them, they might turn into a highly toxic substance that passed through the intestines. Seeing this, everyone felt that it was a pity and wished they were born 9,000 years earlier. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.